welcome to our Morning Throwers podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Kyle, and we're the fucking Morning Throwers. didn't feel right, did it?
I mean, we've done that before. The Glow has missed 2 before.
Yeah, but we would like fake like I'm Glow or like.
That's true. We did fake it before.
And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We're your Morning Throners. We're talking Cat 6 today. First podcast AG. 1 AG.
Yep, 1 AG after Glowsif. He'll be back, though, so we'll see.
Who?
Yeah, we're just going to pretend like he never existed.
That's what we should do.
It sucks because I'm going to have to go re-edit. I'm going to have to... Not, like, the logo is good because it's 2 on one side, 2 on the other, character in the middle. Right now, what am I going to do? I got to be on my own side because I'm...
Now you got to put me
guys,
in the middle.
The thing is, the way I had it, too, is, like, good because, like Jeff and I were both holding ours up, and I can make it look like we were cheersing. Yeah. You're going over to the other side, though, now. Kyle doesn't get his own side because of that. I get to be alone. What? But yeah, I was thinking if I put you and Jeff on the same side, then when we go spoiler section, I can just take you away and it's just dang good.
So even though the background doesn't ever change. When we go, I was gonna say you don't change it when we go.
But I
think it's fine for now. Let's get a couple. We'll get a couple in before we have to make any.
I didn't change it because it's weird to have 3 people. But we have to face that problem anyway.
There's many things you can do. You can just lay like bang, 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 and then put the character in the background.
I mean,
you just don't think.
I felt like you can change the positions of the characters. They're all just like standing. We're all sitting. Like I got the art designed around the one that it's okay. I'll figure it out. All
right, let's go. Let's get on task. We got Cat 6. Have fun editing that. And also, Kyle, what you think?
I mean, it was a decent one. It wasn't directly in the battle here, but it was battle adjacent.
Yeah. I thought it was an okay chapter. I think it was a boring. I think it was boring. I don't know. Like Nelson was comparing it to the Whispering Wood. I don't think it was nearly as good as the Whispering Wood because it's a boring battle. I think the battles are boring as shit.
Like in Whispering Wood, she can't see anything. She can hear some stuff.
Yeah, but there's suspense around it. Like there's no suspense here. Like I feel like they just lost. The one battle that maybe had some fight was the one with the mountain, and we don't really see that.
So maybe you didn't have any suspense because you've read it already. But Kyle, did you have that same feeling, or did you like? I feel like it's set up for Kat to think like they're losing. Like, oh, I have a host of doubts when Edmure rides out. And she's like, this is a bad plan. And then towards the end, they get news. They're like, oh, actually, we won. And she's like, maybe I shouldn't have trusted him. Like, he actually did a really good job. Everybody believed in him and turned out great. It's like kind of what happens in this chapter. So, like, I feel like it's meant on a first-time read to be like, oh, fuck, this is going to be bad. But you're saying you didn't get that,
Kyle? I think they're going to lose. No, I mean, there was no imminent threat, really, in my...
Yeah,
it didn't feel like they were anywhere close to breaching the walls or.
Yeah, I don't remember how I felt the first time I read it, but reading now, I feel like a lot of the chapters written to try and make you feel like they're gonna lose, and then.
Well, I truly don't remember reading it for the first time, and like this time I'm like, well, the first attack was like I don't even know how many men.
Like 6 guys. It sounded like
they got destroyed. Like they didn't even like. Dip their toe in the water, and they were like, "All right, let's retreat."
I mean, again, we're gonna get there, but even after that, Kat thinks like it's not over. Tywin has twice as many.
That's because Kat's just a pessimist. That's just how she is.
And Brienne's like, if I was Tywin, I would just be like basically sending small groups of forces all along the river, and then just plunge my army, and then basically at the end, Kat's like, they did that, and we even stopped the big fist plunge. At the end.
Yeah. I mean. I get it. Like maybe.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing. Like Kyle's the one that has Kyle's the one with that perspective. I'm a little surprised.
I'm saying the chapter would have been cooler, or like if she would have been on the top, seeing the fist fight.
Yeah, seeing the big battle or something.
Seeing the big battle, like she just saw the little battle, and then like looked at another battle in the darkness. Like who even knows what she really saw? But let's get going. So
yeah, like I said, that just kind of she felt safe the entire time, really, and it just I don't know. I didn't get a fear or concern at all.
Yeah, I don't know if there was ever really a fear for. Go ahead, sorry. You take like long pauses in between your sentences sometimes.
I'm still mid.
No, go ahead.
I'm on Kyle's side.
What's that?
I'm on Kyle's side. Nelson just loves his own voice.
Well, sometimes I think
There's so many times where I want to get a point across and like I'm just starting it, and then Nelson like stops, and I'm like, just let me say this one thing. I just want to say the one thing.
I know.
When I edit, I get pissed when I hear like Jeff saying something, and I cut myself off, and I'm like, Jeff was gonna say that exact same thing. Just let him say it. That happens. I'm not saying it doesn't, but Kyle, I feel like sometimes you purposely fuck with me. You like say a sentence, and I even see it in the edit. There'll be like a 3-second pause where like I'll literally cut
thinking.
that. I'll literally cut it. And I don't mind that. I don't mind that. I'm just saying, then I'll start talking. Like, I'll see there's a pause, be like, okay, no one's talking, and I'll start talking. And then you'll realize, like, okay, Nelson's trying to cut me off, and you'll start talking at the same time. And I feel like that's how me and you talk over each other most of the time. This is all getting cut, but
just for
no, it's not. Our people need to know that you're a cut-off son of a bitch.
Some of that has to do with the delay.
Jeff, I'm just telling you, I cut you off unjustly a lot. But Kyle, I feel like kind of as somewhat deserved because he takes long pauses.
Right.
Because I'm getting asked questions that I'm not prepared for, and I have to think and formulate thoughts, whereas you guys come into this.
I will say, and it's not easy, but a lot of times if you guys can just talk through me in the edit, I'll realize and I'll edit myself out. But sometimes I know that
it's hard to do that.
You just talk louder when we are trying to talk,
and that's that's literally part of the problem with I put myself in and cut you out. Is it's super noticeable that even if I cut you out, it's super noticeable that I just cut you off because all of a sudden I'm talking like this, and like it just like the volume's all fucked up. I try and fix it. It's hard. So that's why it's always better if you guys just keep talking. But I know. I'm fucking you up on purpose.
Yeah, podcast would be so much better if me and Kyle talked and you just listened.
If I would have quit instead of Glow. The podcast would be like 10 minutes long each time.
Sorry.
Well, no, what I was going to say is, so the whole time, like, she feels so safe in the castle and everything, but then there's this weird side story of her kind of trying to talk Brienne into being a woman again. It's like trying to convert her back to, like, you know, the traditional sense of being a maiden, and it's like really strange to me that that's like what she's concerned with the whole time here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't really get that too much out of it. There's definitely like a little.
She's like, oh, I tried to make her nice dresses, and
I see what you're saying now that and she asked her to sing to her later on and stuff like that. It's not that I disagree with you. I just like I didn't think it was like a heavy theme of the chapter. But maybe I'm wrong. There's definitely a few mentions of stuff like that.
Every time she talks to Brienne, I feel like
I feel like it's more so that we realize that yes, she's not only a good like fighter, but she also isn't interested in like girl shit. Like Sansa maybe is like a good fighter and also like singing.
She has a daughter like that.
I know. I think that's kind of what it's telling us. Yeah. Like this girl is just like a tomboy through and through, period.
And she even realizes it in this thing. She's like, yeah, Arya is untamed pretty much. And like,
but that's the thing. Brienne's not really Brienne doesn't seem untamed. And the one thing that Kat knows about Brienne is that like she like had this thing for Renly. She doesn't think as Arya as like the I fell in love type of person, and that's 100% Sansa. So I think again, this is more Kat and maybe just showing the reader too, like, hey, Brienne is not a girl, like girly girl. She's just like she's a knight. And
I think at this point, Kat's kind of like wasting her time. Like she's your knight right now. Like she gave you her sword. Like let her be a knight.
Yeah.
You know,
that's what I'm saying. Like, why are you trying to change this adult woman?
I think to Kyle's point too, like it's also showing like everyone in this world, not only men are like what is that? Like stereotyping women and like putting them in this like bucket.
Yeah.
But even women put other women in this bucket. Kat is doing it to Brienne here, right? Like not in a hurtful way, but she just assumes a lot of this stuff about Brienne. Oh, she would want dresses now that we're in a castle. Oh, she likes singing. She does like singing.
I mean, I don't know if she likes to sing or she
does not
music.
Like to sing, but she likes listening to songs.
She likes music, yeah.
Which is such a lady thing.
If this is, I know it's not medieval.
It's not because Kat mentions there's other. Sorry, Jeff. She mentioned there's other boys listening to these songs, like specifically that the boys. Like
I mean, I feel like the guys like music and like that's a nod, but like this is a very sexist time where men do this, women do this, and like it's not just the men telling who to do what, and it's like this is what you do.
It just rolls that like everyone accepts.
Fall in line, yeah. So all right, let's get into the deal. So Edmure is leaving, saying goodbye, like, hey, father will be proud of me, and he's gonna go win some war glory.
We haven't heard from him in a little while. We don't know how Oster's doing. I'm sure it's not great, but
yeah, we haven't heard from him. And we don't hear from him in this chapter either.
I think she visited him at the end of the last chapter.
I guess that's more what I mean.
Yeah, we don't hear him.
We did talk to him.
Yep.
The last chapter, but
yeah. So basically, he says bye. She says he is proud, always been proud. He heads out with his men. She's doubtful. She thinks she has a greater host than Edmure does, but it's a host of doubts.
Let's be fair. She's always doubtful. She's super pessimistic about a lot of stuff.
I mean, she's seen a lot of people go off and die on her, so I mean, she has fair.
Yeah. But like, I don't know if she's ever really gone into even like a Rob account, like, oh, Rob has a shot here, like, oh, Rob's the king, like he's not ready for this, blah blah blah. Like she's always been a pessimist. So I don't know what else to say. Like she never believed that Rob was ready, and Rob has to this point proven that he's done a good job. You know what I mean? Like she's calling him a boy, and like I guess there's some moments where he is acted like a boy just in front of her, but he's done a pretty solid job. Edmure is trying to not be the boy. Like
Edmure's like 50, right?
I don't think any. No,
I think he's younger. He's younger than her.
Yeah.
So
Okay, yeah, you're right.
I think she's like mid-30s. I don't know if we have a
Yeah.
locked
I
in.
don't know why I have that.
Locked in age for it.
What I was gonna say is to what Jeff was saying. Like at the end of the Cat chapter, when Cat gets news, like everything worked out, and like basically there's nothing to worry about. She's like, maybe I need to give Edmure and Rob more credit. I treat them both like kids, right? So like, yeah. So I think she puts them both in that bucket.
I think we get a little bit of her backstory here, which helps too, of how Hoster failed to have some kids before her. 2 died as infants or whatever, and then she survived, so she's now the firstborn. Yep. She's the firstborn and the lady, so it's just added pressure that she probably really put on herself more than he put on her.
Yeah, and she feels like she's always stepped up.
Right. So she probably has been in the mom role for a long time, and I don't know. I guess if you see people, and I guess if everyone's very if everyone around you is optimistic, I don't know if they are. Like someone needs to be a pessimistic in the relationship, or just to kind of balance out the. But all right, she bounces. Brienne's dressed like a lady. We mentioned that.
Yeah, we covered that. We're basically the one thing they mentioned before. Basically, what we just talked about was that basically the only people that are left here are old people and all these town folk.
Children.
Yeah, I mean, we also have all these all these small folk, right? But we heard in the last chapter, Edmure let everyone in. Kat mentions it a little bit at the end. She doesn't really mention it too much here, but the castle is just crammed full of small folk. Again, just another thing. It's like, wow, Edmure doesn't seem like a great idea. What if you get sieged? Which again, I don't want to press the matter too much, but like, I feel like Kyle, you should have thought that they were gonna maybe not lose River Run, but like get across the river. I feel like it's set up to think that Tywin has twice as many people. Like right when Edmure rides out and Kat's like, I have a host of doubts. You're like, everything's going to go great. And we already covered it. So if the answer is yeah, we don't have to linger. But you didn't have like the slightest like, oh, Edmure's going to die here or something like that.
We just know that if you're going to siege a castle, it's going to take a long time if it's well provisioned, right? So
again, this would be like you'd have to really be thinking about it. But I think they did mention it in the last chapter. He probably isn't too worried about River Run. Just stay in the castle and you're good. He might leave some people to siege is a threat, but he's worried about Rob going to town on the Westlands right now. Like Tywin's home is like
Tywin. You're saying?
Yeah, Tywin wants to get home to his homeland so he can. Rob has the army over there, and there's no army. Rob destroyed the only other army over there. So I don't know. Tywin. I don't know. No need to linger. I just feel like it's really set up for this is going to be bad.
I don't know.
I didn't feel that reading it. I felt like she was laying it on so heavy that something bad was going to happen.
You're right. Kat does have that effect. Like, she just is always pessimistic.
Like, okay, they actually won. Like, wow, that's surprising. But
gotcha.
So kind of a big part. Like, it's not really her backstory, but I mentioned how her backstory part of it. But a big theme of hers is her duty, and she always did her duty. I think Kyle mentioned that, and she was a older sister and the first lady and blah, 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 blah. And then she just talks about the duty of how she was going to marry Brandon and then it ended up being Ned and just the...
She talks about when Brandon and Littlefinger fought, she gave Brandon her favor and then didn't go to see Littlefinger afterwards. And like, we know that her and Littlefinger were like friends as kids. He was a ward at River Run. And then... Now they have this fight. She backs Brandon because, like, what her point is, it was my duty. Like, I don't care. He was my friend. My father said I'm going to marry this guy. That's my duty now, and that's what I do. I'm 100% on this side now.
Kind of starts to lead more credence to Littlefinger. I hate to give him any sort of credit or props, but I mean, this does make it sound like, I guess, his side of the story might be a little more true, that like they were in love with him and all that, but it wasn't her duty to be in love with him, so she had to forget that life kind of thing.
Yeah, I see that.
I was wondering if
I hate to give him credit. But...
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they were friends. Like, I don't...
He's told some stories.
Sure, he has. But his one story, she contradicts here, too.
I wanted to ask Kyle because I don't remember like what we've heard so far. Like maybe we've heard everything. Did we hear about this before at all? Before I feel like Littlefinger mentioned it.
He challenged him at the river or something, and then they had to fight, and he just beat the shit out of him pretty much.
You've seen the first season, so I'll say this: in the first season, he like Littlefinger when Ned enters the throne room, like council chamber for the first time, he says like, "Oh, like Ned says like my brother too." I think he's like, "Oh, I have a scar from collarbone to navel or something like that from your brother or whatever." So Peter lost.
Yeah. Oh no, I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
it was like he was like twice as old, or not twice old, but he was like way older than him, and
Peter's not
obviously
going
to win the whole time.
Yeah.
All right, so she ends up going to the Sept, and it's pretty crowded.
Yeah, this is the first time any of these has ever been crowded, I think. Usually it's like they go to these places and they're alone.
Yeah, they talk. It's usually
It's
like
really
rumor-filled, like secret-filled talk.
Well, all these wives have their husbands out there about to be in a battle, so it kind of makes sense, right?
I mean, especially if everybody is feeling pessimistic.
I'm saying it makes less sense that they're always empty, is what I'm trying to say. Like, always. Like, didn't Tyrion just have a meeting with Lancel in the Sept at the King's Landing?
Yeah. But that was the Sept in the castle. I mean, not that there's not a lot of people in the castle. Yeah.
I mean, we don't really know how religion works for the Seven, if they like meet on a specific day of the week or
that's true.
A time.
Like,
You're just bound to run into somebody.
If you go into a church most days, there's only going to be a handful of people there, though, to Jeff's point, right?
It's still more than zero.
You're right.
We'll see.
Not all the time.
But she does make a note of it, and I do agree with Nelson. It's probably because all these men just left to fight, and so she pops over to the warrior and lights a candle for Edmure and Robb, and she notices a new Septon's working, not the old one she's used to.
Yeah, she thought about this old Septon too. I was wondering if you ever heard of him. She thought she prayed to him, or she thought about him when she was praying before Renly. That chapter where Renly gets stabbed by the Shadow Baby, she's in the Sept before that. She thinks about him too. I think she lights candles for Robb and shit then too.
I don't remember if she lights candles, but I know what you're talking about.
When before the dawn prayer, right? She went back or before the dawn fight of Stannis and Renly, she lit some candles.
I think Kyle's right. I don't think she was lighting candles. I think she was just admiring all like the weird carvings of the faces and how like the face of the mother looked like Cersei. And
I feel like when you go to pray though, you light candles. I'm saying maybe it's not mentioned, but I'm assuming that she lit a candle if there was a candle there.
Tyrion did it last chapter for Jaime. He lit a candle at the warrior for Jaime.
So this Osmond dude's been long gone, right? Like he died of old age while she was away, kind of thing. It's not like this is a recent.
Yeah, the only other time we ever even heard of him was that other chapter. I just thought it weird because she kind of like talks about him like a decent amount.
Well, because she had a relationship with him, she doesn't know this new guy.
Yeah, and she's basically like, I wish these people that used to give me like help when I was like confused and lost and didn't know what to do. I wish they were here. This guy, Sir Septon Osmond, my father, he's too sick, doesn't even know who he is anymore. Like he can't help me. Blackfish is out with Robb. Maester Kim. Yeah, I think this is the first time we're hearing it. This guy must be some other old maester when she was little. But now it's just all up to her, and she's like wondering like, how am I supposed to do my duty when I don't even know what my duty is?
Gotta figure it out, girl. Figure it out. So now she's walking through
she
town.
Thinks maybe she's gonna try Ned's gods, and then heads out. Maybe
they'll get they're older. They've been here longer.
She got nothing from her time in this one.
Yeah, she says that, but then now I'm thinking like if she like kind of like she didn't light a candle at the warrior for Robb, but like she thinks later like things have been going pretty good for us. Like we won every battle, right? She uses it to think like, why do I feel not great if we won everything? But like keep doing what you're doing, Kat. Like everything's going okay. Like don't switch what you're doing now, right? It's like in baseball players with your traditions.
Keep putting your shoes on the same foot, one foot at a time. I still do that to this day.
What?
I got so many like just ritual getting ready. Baseball, dude, baseball is the worst for that. It's just mind fucked kids. But I do love it. I'm sure hockey is too. Yeah. I didn't really have. I mean, I guess a little bit of everything, but baseball, man, you get something going right, you fucking keep it going.
Yeah,
it's how goalies are crazy. They step over lines certain ways. And it's like free throws. I'm sure I've seen them like hitting the post and clearing their crease and all that shit.
I'm sure.
These dudes are nuts.
Yeah,
I know Crosby has to eat the same meal. I don't know if a tangent, but that Domingue dude came in late in that first overtime game or whatever, and double overtime, and he came in cold. And in between first and second overtime, he ate like pork spicy pork and noodle or
What
broccoli.
the fuck?
During
Because he
the
didn't think he was
game.
going to play. Yeah, like he's
Yeah.
the backup goalie. Like, why would they pull?
He just got hurt, right?
Yeah, the other dude.
It's
got, no,
playoff
the,
hockey.
the other dude
The other-
got hurt.
You gotta be
I was
ready.
gonna-
I heard one of them got hurt. So
oh, you're talking about Bennington or something, probably. But anyway.
all right, so she was walking out, and they're passing the brew house, and there's
Ryman the Rhymer.
a bard, yeah, Ryman. He's singing a song about Lord Dairyman and the Bloody Meadow.
Yeah, so he's the guy we heard wrote the song about Oxcross, Rob's victory at Oxcross. Like when Kat first got met and was bringing back to River, and they're like, "Oh, you'll hear this song. This guy's in town. He's so good." But yeah, he's singing a different song about Lord Dairyman of the Bloody Meadow. Like in the histories, we really don't know anything about Lord Dairyman. I have no idea when the Bloody Meadow takes place. It's not really relevant anywhere except for the song that I could find. So just a cool song about fighting. Jeff, you gonna sing it?
No, I'm not. I have to. You know what I realized? I listened to a little bit of this week's pod. My allergies were
Yeah, you
killer
had bad
last
allergies in
week.
one of the
Wow,
pods. I was cutting out a lot of sniffles too, but your voice was just...
I'm sure. My voice was noticeably like bad, but
All right, so I gotta sing this. We're gonna have to. We're singing
we
all the
have to sing
songs.
it?
We're singing all the songs in the series. Yeah, the songs are great
Why?
because they're
No,
great. Kyle.
don't start that.
Yep, that's the new rule.
All right, well then you're singing all the songs.
we don't even know
Well,
like
this guy has
the,
a deep voice.
the melody.
tune to it. Yeah.
Come on, just be musical one time.
All right, let me hear it. You get step up to the plate.
Red leather, yellow leather. And there he stood with sword in hand, the last of Derry's 10.
What the fuck?
That's the first part. Then there's what? Cat says boys run by.
That did not sound like the
Just
tune.
let me get to the
not,
crescendo.
That's not the tune I would have sang. But
Just wait.
okay.
It's a medieval song.
Yeah.
So yeah, Cap runs by with hitting themselves with sticks, and she's wondering if singers like this are the reason that
Boys play at war.
boys love war. Yeah.
Go to the next verse.
And there he stood with sword in hand, the last of Derry's 10, and read the grass beneath his feet, and read his banners bright, and read the glow of setting sun that bathed him in its light. Come on, the great lord called, my sword is hungry still, and with a cry of savage rage, they swarmed across the rill.
You could have been a medieval
I
singer.
crushed
I think
that.
we need to. I think we. I mean, I don't. The tune.
You guys wanted to laugh and couldn't because I did too good.
I don't think you did bad.
I got
I'll
too
be
close to
honest.
the mic and I might have blown it out. I can
Your
tell the bars
tune
are big.
on the
there.
first two lines, I thought was a little off, but you really got into it when it became.
If we're being
the-
honest, I
the
thought about
second
it when I
verse.
took notes on it.
I'm sure you did.
I had a feeling you guys were going to not
We
want
need to get you at the Renaissance Fair for.
I do play a bard in D&D in
Let
the
you be
3
a
games I
bard.
played, 3 sessions.
So Brienne mentions that fighting is better than waiting. I think she just kind of says this out of nowhere, right? There's no real conversation.
Cat might wonder, like, say out loud, why do
It's
boys
right
play
after
at
the
war?
song. It's
No.
no, she thinks that.
Maybe Brienne is just listening to the song and just wants to be out there
She's
fighting.
like, "Fuck, I want
Yeah,
to
I
go
think-
fight."
Yeah.
I think they kind of had this discussion to some point, throughout. Like, she's like, man, I wish we could be out there. I wish I could be doing this. I'm much better at that stuff than the sitting inside this castle doing the
Yeah.
stuff you want me to do.
I think she gets into
Like
her
that
here,
kind of thing.
right?
And I think
Yeah.
this is kind of her
Yeah.
just like, chomping at the bit here. Like, there's a battle happening out there. I know it could be useful out there. I know I have value out there. But in here, like, you've got me a caged bird, more Shanta.
Exactly. And Cat tells her, well, out there, people are going to die. And here, no one's going to die.
Brienne snaps back.
Well, women die in childbirth all the time. Like, at least no one sings songs about them. At least this guy, Sir Desmond or Desamond, Lord Dairyman at the Bloody Meadow, he's got a song about him. No one ever has a song about this mom who died giving birth
Yeah.
to a child. So that's the way to go out.
It's got to be like a big goal. It's almost like
A song.
like knights are basically the athletes of this era, right? So
I don't even know athletes, just famous people in general, I guess, right?
sure, yeah, celebrity. So like having a song, like getting an Emmy or getting into the Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
right? It's like the highest. It's like the highest honor you can get,
The thing
right?
is, I feel like if you're just like a good knight and just like win over and over again, but like don't have any like crazy moments, you're not gonna get any good songs though. Like you need to have like a spectacular moment where you like
Yeah.
kill like 10 people at one battle. That's how you get the song.
Well, how you get a song is by telling people that you did these crazy things after the battle. You come back to town and you
Yeah.
tell this bigger story. You think the ground was completely red under this dude, and like
Well, even if the singer was there, the singer's gonna exaggerate it too. Like, does it not only what the person exaggerates?
Yeah, you gotta make a better
song,
right?
Yeah,
it's like I was gonna say it's more like getting a news feature. I think Jeff as a celebrity here, like you know, you're getting broadcast. You got history now, and like we just said, they definitely amp it up more than Hall of Fame. It's usually they try and keep your record straight, whereas this is
exactly that's what I'm saying. Like the long-standing record doesn't really matter. People don't remember that; they'll remember a moment. Like basically, if you're breaking the odds, right?
You won a Grammy, like say you just won a Grammy, right? Great movie. You had a great movie, and it might have sucked. Like how many movies or Grammy might be a
Grammy's
song,
music,
right?
But yeah.
So that song like sucked, but it won a fucking Grammy. Or
the more unexpected, the better, right? If a shitty night pops off, he might even get a song because he did something unexpected. But yeah.
All right, so I don't have anything left on this conversation. I know they talk about her duty as a woman, but her duty as a knight type shit.
Well, Kat basically starts talking about being like the job of being a mother and saying like, "Oh, your own mom must have told you about it." And Bran's like, "Oh, I didn't know my mom. Like I never like her. She died. She doesn't really say, but she never knew her mother." And she says his father had ladies every year. Her father had ladies every year, and Kat's like, those weren't ladies. Like a different lady every year, and Kat's like, I don't think that's what that was.
At least it was a year. It's not like it was a different lady every night. Like he spent some time with her.
But it makes you wonder, like when she says she didn't know her mother, it makes you think like, oh, her mother died. But then like, what is she? Is she a bastard of just like there was a lady there one time? And
I don't know. We don't really know.
Yeah.
All right. So Maester Vyman then brings her a letter.
Well, I think at the end they kind of both agree that they both have their place, right? She's like, and who would keep you safe, my lady? And then she's like, but then she's like the man in the house. But that's what my lady mother taught me, so I can maybe learn to accept you. So this is kind of where she's grappling with her internal, structure of who's supposed to be doing what. But she kind of just cuts right back to the other way, though.
Well, I feel like Kat feels lost, like she doesn't have a duty right now. She sees that Brienne feels the same way. Brienne feels like her duty should be out there fighting. And Kat is like basically trying to give Brienne like, no, you're doing your duty right now by protecting me. Like I should be protecting my children. I'm not doing that duty. That's why I'm so upset. But because there's no one to protect me, that's your job. And now you're doing that. So you're covered. But yeah, I think the next thing is Vyman, right? And then we
brings her a letter from Lord Meadows, and it's word of Penrose's death. She was hoping, I think it was going to be words from Rob, but
or Winterfell.
Nope, it's Sir Courtney Penrose, and
they don't really talk much about that.
Yeah, so it's one interesting thing to note is that Varys had way more information about this than this letter. So Varys didn't just get a letter, right? So.
Yeah, I mean, I think we know that about Varys.
It just tells you Varys had somebody in the castle or whatever, but Varys had some way of getting more information than he didn't just get the letter that came to King's Landing and tell that to Tyrion. There was something else that Varys was doing there.
Yep, and other than him dying, the gates were also open to Stannis.
No one else died. Everyone turned over to him.
The dude who wrote it is calling him the trueborn and rightful heir.
Yep, everyone in the castle went over to him. Nobody got killed. Except Kat thinks, except Courtney.
What about the bastard?
Yeah. Letter didn't mention it. Kat thinks about it. She tells Vyman they have to basically send this news on to Rob real quick. Whereas Rob, he's going to this place called the Crag to see the House Westerling. She's like, how can we get a letter? He's like, send it to this other castle, and then they'll be able to make it there. You'll be all set.
Yeah, right out.
She's like, yeah, do it. So when he's gone, that's when she brings up to Brienne the bastard, like.
What happened to the bastard? I kind of forgot that Brienne knew this kid. What was she doing?
She was just with Renly, right?
Was she just hanging out with Renly?
Yeah, and Renly was at Storm's End, right? So she was around
even
him.
Before he was king, when he was Lord Renly?
She probably wasn't like sitting next to him or as close, but she was there at Storm's End. Sworn knight to him, yeah.
How long was Renly King Renly? Like,
I don't know.
It was
he leaves King's Landing, and did he chill at Storm's End for a little bit? I feel like there wasn't much time. Like I just don't know when Brienne started serving him.
He might not even have gone to Storm's End. You're right. He might have gone right back to.
I thought he went out to like
right.
Yeah, right.
To their place because that's where most of the people were coming.
I'm just trying to think of like if Brienne was there pre King Renly.
She must have been. She must have been at Storm's End pre King Renly when he was
during Robert's reign, right?
Yeah.
When they gave him Storm's End.
Yeah, that's
And even then, Renly was at the council most of the time. right? Because he was on the small council.
Because she remembers, like I thought the boy was older. I thought Eldrick was older, but it seems like he's pretty young, 7 or 8, they say. So she must have seen him kind of grow up, or like I don't know.
Well, he would have been even younger when she saw him, right? If we're talking that she's seen him like at least a year or 2
George.
ago.
I thought in general, like I thought he was older. I thought he was more Joffrey's age.
This is weird timeline stuff that you're not supposed to think too hard on. I think is what this is.
I don't think so. I disagree.
Well, timeline doesn't matter. So
I think we might
say that regardless.
I think we might find out more things in the future that make this make more sense.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think if Brienne just saw this guy, like did she just see this kid one time, like when she was serving him as king, or like how often was she at Storm's End, like growing up as well, and like maybe saw this kid?
That's true.
I don't know. Whatever. I don't think it's that important.
When we show the map later, I will show you Tarth is right next to Storm's End, which
map,
also
baby.
makes it more sense. This one I drew all over. You'll love it.
She basically says like the kid looks just like Renly, and Renly looked like Robert. So
Kat doesn't think about it right away, but Bran does suggest like, is it the claim? Like, is he afraid that the bastard has a better claim to the throne because he's Robert's son? And Kat's like, no, bastard.
Kat shoots it down immediately.
Yeah. She's like, that bastard claim doesn't matter. And then she gets into like,
but it used to.
Like?
It used to.
I mean, in the histories we hear about like bastards like trying to take claims all the time. Yeah. So.
But not right now. So it kind of comes about her with the looks like, oh shit, like, Stannis is gonna pray this bastard around the realm so people see Robert in him.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna, and she makes a good point. Like, I think Brienne's like, well, what does that mean? And Kat's like, well, anyone who believes Stannis is going to use that as proof, and anyone who believes in the Lannisters is going to say, fuck that
Fake
kid.
news. Yeah, dude. It's just like, I hate how like politics work. It's just exactly how everything works nowadays. Like, even when someone does have like legitimate
proof. It is exactly.
Even when something does have like legitimate proof of something, you put it out there and just like, everyone's just like, nope, I don't buy it, just because there's so much bullshit on the market that like.
But this is what I've been saying for a while. Like, this is no genetics test. Like,
well, she even says why it's not.
And she makes the best point about it. Like, my kids don't even look like Ned except for Arya. Like, are they all bastards too? Like, like I've been from the beginning. Like, this is stupid of Stannis to put so much weight in this kid to try and prove of incest. Like, yeah, maybe it can like turn some heads, but it's just like, I don't know. It's just
he's definitely building a case, but it's all circumstantial evidence essentially, right? Like, it's not. He's got no hammer just yet. Like, he's got no groundbreaker that's going to completely shift the tide.
Yep. It's not foolproof. There is doubt. So you can still cast doubt on it for sure. So yeah, then she starts, like Jeff was saying, thinking about like my kids, even them, like if there was this argument, like Arya doesn't really look like me. The rest of them do. So like if you're trying to convince somebody that like Sansa was Ned's kid, it might be tough, right? Mm-hmm. Type thing.
But Jon looks like Ned too.
It's interesting when I was reading this right before the podcast, I looked at all the emotes I posted in the Discord, and it's obvious, like the ones that look like Kat, they all just have red hair, and the ones that look like Jon and Arya just look like
have
that.
Black hair.
Just, I mean, they're kind of next to each other the way I posted them too, but it's just like kind of interesting. Yeah.
And then she goes on a little bit more about Jon, just thinking how Jon wasn't hers, and she thinks about Jon's mother actually, and if she hates her for for Ned leaving her for her.
Yeah. For Kat, does she see Kat as like the other woman kind of type thing?
Yeah.
Does she grieve for Ned? Does she pray for him? For her son as I pray for my son? Yeah.
Is she alive? Like, was she even alive? Yeah.
Exactly.
And then she thinks about Ashara if she was the mother.
Yeah, she goes to think that
she's been dead for a while.
She's like, the only person that I've ever heard of as the mother is this lady Ashara Dane, but that lady's dead, so if it is, it does no matter. And then Kat thinks that Ned was dead with all his loves and secrets died with him.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's no answer to this question, at least not to her. Yeah.
Ned's dead with his loves and his secrets.
Yep.
I'd like to know some of Ned's secrets.
Yeah.
It's weird the relationship men have with their bastards. That's what she gets into here, because as we know, she has no love lost really with Jon.
Yeah.
But Ned was always super protective of him. Penrose with this dude, but Bolton didn't really seem to care. And then he's like, yeah, you got what Catelyn's coming to him, and it makes my life easier
Fuck
if I
that
have
bastard.
sons. And
So interesting segue. I think this is an interesting way, good way, one of the best ways so far George has like have us as readers get a new character, Cat, get information that we already know, that Bolton's son's dead. But she doesn't be like, oh, a letter came and it said Bolton's son dead. Like, she got it 3 days ago. She like mentions it in passing. We're like, we understand she knows it now.
I think it's a good point, Nels, because it just doesn't repeat. It builds off. Like, Bolton's like, all right, I'm going to Harrenhal because my bastard was a shit.
And fuck my bastard. Yeah, he's like, I didn't really care. I'm trying to win. Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to win.
So you learn something new with a character learning of something new that we already knew. But
so I think, what is he right? He says, tainted blood is ever treacherous, and Ramsay's nature was sly, greedy, and cruel. I count myself well rid of him. The trueborn sons my young wife has promised me would never have been safe while he lived.
And from what we know about him, he's got a point. Right?
Not a great guy. Yeah, like married the lady, locked her to tower.
He would have no problem killing these babies that were born. Right, it's born babies.
Which are they're just hypothetical babies at this point, right? Roose has just married this woman.
Yeah.
So what Roose is saying here. So 3 days prior to this, we're not getting too far into the timeline. We'll just go relative to Roose. 3 days prior, Roose is when they got the letter that Roose crossed the Trident. So he's like going to Harrenhal. The Trident is close to Harrenhal. Again, it'll be on the map that I'll pull up a little bit later.
And he wasn't ordered to do this, right? Or Ed?
No,
Edmure
he was.
this?
Edmure told Cat about it. I don't know whose plan it was. I assume it came from Robb. I assume Edmure wasn't like planning.
He said, "But his grace shall have it, and if I must kill every living soul within to make it so." So
yeah. But you know what? I think
I
this
didn't
is
know
Edmure's
if like
plan.
when he said your grace will have it, it was because it was like, oh, I did him this bad thing, like I need to make up for it, like this castle will do.
No, that's 100% what he means by that. Or he is like, my family did this wrong because of my bastard.
I'm saying that could be like why he took it on his own accord. Like I can take this castle for him to get back.
He says as commanded, marching on Harrenhal as commanded.
Yeah, I think in the last Cat chapter when Edmure like tells the plan, there's a few other things he says, right? He says, I pulled those Stark men, the Northern men out of the phrase.
Right. I do think it
to join Roose so that we can take Harrenhal because Tywin's left it. So I think this is all Edmure's plan and like not Robb's. I mean, it worked out. Looks like it's working out. We don't know how the Bolton thing's working out, but the Edmure side of it worked out okay. So, but yeah, so that plan it looks like it's in full effect.
All of a sudden,
just mentioning that because we have a character in Harrenhal.
Yeah,
our girl he doesn't kill her, right? There.
Huh? Well, I mean, yeah, we don't even know how they might win, like who wins, but it'd be cool if there's a battle there and we saw it.
All right, young boy runs into the house. Sir Desmond Squire. There's Lannisters across the river.
Yeah. First battle. Cat goes up to see it. Meets somebody on the wall walks or whatever, and they
the watchtower.
They see House Brax, and Cat remembers that once Lord Andros Brax had come to Riverrun to try and get Lysa to marry one of his sons. That didn't happen. She doesn't say why that didn't happen, but she wonders if one of the sons is out there right now. Basically, pretty one-sided. She sees some banners, people start going down, and then bodies start floating down.
They don't even that's what I'm saying. Like they don't even get close. Like this is a stupid ass plan.
I think Tywin is literally just checking to see if are there men on the other side of this river here.
Well, yeah. All right, but like the river seems like it's pretty strong. Like it's not something easily walked across. No, like
I don't think here. Well, that's what they're saying. That's what a ford is. A ford is just a place where a river is walkable. So when they're saying like this, like who I forget.
But they also have those caltrops there too, right?
Exactly. So they have spikes in the water, but they also have like different lords placed at any place that they think that the river's crossable. Exactly. So like that's why I can't see it because you can't cross right next to Riverrun. You have to be like.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're just set up there to mow them down, basically.
Yeah, but they have to get across. So like they have to find a way. So this is them trying to find that spot that's undefended.
I just feel like
they're probing.
They got to get farther away.
Expeditionary forces.
They should have tried to get farther away.
I don't think you're wrong. I'm just saying that that's what this is expeditionary forces.
Yeah, if I was one of these 50 men, I'd be like, what the fuck are we doing?
All right, so I got the map up here just so you can see like kind of the river they're talking about is this one with the blue and red stripes, Tully colors. Tywin is the red arrow coming from Harrenhal, and then at the end we hear heading southeast, and Cat thinks that it's about the mouth of the or the headwater of the Blackwater Rush, which is the river that runs down to King's Landing. So I just drew that arrow there. And then Bolton is the pink arrow, might be a little hard to see up above Harrenhal to the top right. That's where he's going, right? So he's going from across the Trident from Harrenhal the other way, maybe a little bit more north of that. And then
I thought the whole point of the twins was because that part was in Crossfork.
Yeah, basically past Lord Harroway's town up, you can't cross the Green Fork.
But they found a way below it. Okay.
Well, they came down this side, right? Roose has been on this side the whole time. Roose is the part of the army that lost the fight on the Green
Fork.
Fork.
But I'm saying now they're going to cross back over the river.
Yeah, down here.
Without the twins.
Once you get down past Lord Harroway's town, you can cross again.
I feel like that makes the twins a lot less valuable that you can cross below Harroway's town. But
well, I mean, now you need either basically you need whoever controls Harrenhal or whoever controls the twins on your side to be able to cross. It's kind of where how it goes. That's how I see it. But yeah, the other thing I put on this map down here was kind of what's going on with King's Landing. We don't know what's going on with Bitterbridge. Supposedly there's a lot of people there. Littlefinger is supposed to go there. Stannis sent people there, but we haven't heard word either way. Stannis has come from Storm's End and is somewhere along that yellow line going to King's Landing. So that's where, and also yellow, white line over here, kind of hard to see in the west. That's what Rob's doing. So I don't know if he's coming from Ashmark, but Maester Vyman says they're going to send the letter to Ashmark to catch up with him on his way to the crag. So I'm guessing Rob's coming from Ashmark. I don't know if he's going right over the mountains or around.
Why would you go to the crag first? Wouldn't you go to their main castle first?
I'm just wondering if maybe he's just banging everything out. Like everything that he thinks is easy, he's just crushing it. You know what I mean? Like literally just being like, you're dead. You're dead. You don't have any more guards. You're dead.
It seems is frivolous the right word? I don't know if it is, but it seems like what are you doing, man? You got the heart of the Lannisters here. Go take care of that.
Yeah. I mean, we've heard that in the last chapter they're just doing damage everywhere. Somebody's what's her name? Lady Mormont. I said I want the spinoff show. She's herding 20,000 cattle or whatever across the fucking out here somewhere near Deep Den. There's a lady with like 20,000 cattle. Like they're just taking over places. I think they got fishing villages. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe Castle Rock would just defend it up.
So again, later that night she gets woken up that they came back. And so she goes back up to the watchtower. We don't see much until it's a little bit more of the same. And they shoot a bunch of flaming arrows. I think she maybe can see a little bit more when they get shot.
Yep.
But I think some people fall and step on the caltrops because it's dark and they can't see, and then they float by. And this is where Brienne and her have that conversation of what would you do type stuff. Like she's kind of getting some counsel from someone who's probably been in some battles. Like, all right, like what would you do if you were? And I don't even know if she asked in Tywin's perspective, but Brienne gives it if she was Tywin.
Yeah, she gives it from Tywin's perspective. She says basically what we said earlier. If I was him, I'd be doing like probes, and then once I figure out where I think it's weakest, where we have the best shot, that's where I'd send everybody, or the big group.
Well, that and where I think it's weakest, and if you can't find something that's weak, he's just gonna come anyway. Yeah, like he has to come.
Yeah, exactly.
So one of these, there's gonna be a fight somewhere.
Yeah. So the next morning, she wakes up and she wants to talk to Cleos Frey, who is the Lannister Frey cousin who brought terms. And she wants to get him nice and wine drunk before she talks to him because she wants him to have a loose tongue.
Yep, exactly. Then a message arrives telling of another victory a few leagues south. Sir Flemont Brax. And again, Brax was the first who she saw the first time. So these people probably just hit here, moved a little bit further south, hit again. They got stopped at a crossing. They shot arrows, blah, blah, blah. They won. Scorpions on the banks. Bang. We win.
We won.
More reports further upriver, more winning. Basically, they're stopping everything, right? She's like, maybe I was wrong to doubt him. Everyone thinks he's wiser than I thought. I think this is when she's saying kind of what you were saying earlier, Jeff. Like, I'm not giving him or Rob enough credit here.
My brother is not the little boy I remember no more than Rob is.
Yeah.
So then she goes down, calling to see Cleos Frey. And she waited for quite some time for him to drink that entire flagon.
Yeah, and she can tell pretty quick it's like working. He's like stumbling to his feet. He probably hasn't been like nourished
not
too
very
well.
Steady.
So
not Cleos.
He's not
steady.
in drinking shape, that's for sure. Yeah. So he pops up and basically says like, I knew nothing about the escape.
I swear.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to escape.
Yeah.
And really, if you were him, like would you want to escape? Like, you're just kind of getting paraded back and forth, probably safe from both
Yeah,
sides.
he's under peace banners and stuff.
Being a messenger boy. Like, yeah, what message do you want to send? I'll send it.
Yeah, I mean, his trip back seemed pretty nice. They sent 30 guards with him or 50 guards or whatever, but I don't know. When you're in control of the Starks, I bet you're not living too
Those
high
were
and mighty.
all
but
Cersei's
I'm
people,
saying
right?
in Cleos's, like, if Cleos is going back, he's technically a Lannister.
Yeah,
so,
I
like,
gotcha. Yeah.
the Lannisters are going to attack him, and he's coming up. Like, he's also he's Frey, so, like, and they also want to hear what he has to say. Like, they want to hear the message. Maybe you kill the messenger.
Well, he's under
later
a peace
on.
banner, which is supposed to be respected. I mean, we know that they don't. But
So the first time we talked about peace banner, you were like, Kyle said, "Fuck the peace banner. Nobody would respect that." And I think that's pretty much what you said the first time. You're like, just because if like if the mountain saw this guy and they're like waving his flag, you think the mountain would stop? I think it's what you were saying.
yeah, and I still agree with that. That's exactly what I was going to say.
We know that he's a Lannister man, and so is Cleo.
That's what I was trying to say is that he's
for most people, I guess.
They're supposed to respect this, but who's to say that these people give a shit about the Geneva Conventions, for lack of a better, the rules of engagement, maybe is the best way to put it.
Yeah.
But he immediately is like, look, man, that was all Tyrion. I had nothing to do with that. He said that I'm a Lannister, so I needed an escort of Lannisters.
Yep. That was Tyrion's excuse.
You gotta trust me.
I swear an oath, I knew nothing of it. And she's like, "Oh, I know no grandson of Lord Walder would be an oath breaker," but she thinks to himself, unless it served his purpose.
Trying to keep the phrase on her side still, in general.
Yeah. She's like, "Tell me the peace terms. I want to hear it." And basically, he tells the peace terms. She's like, "That's not good." Except one part of the peace terms. But here's the thing: it's like, I don't know if these work piecemeal, but she's thinking like this one part that is like, there's no way he would actually trade the girl, like Arya and Sansa, for Jaime. It's just a horrible trade.
No commissioner is letting this trade go through.
I mean, I guess it makes sense from.
She even knows that.
I guess it makes sense from Tyrion's point, but like, it doesn't make sense from the River Run point of view, right?
Well,
like,
that was the point. The whole point of his terms were that they weren't going to be accepted.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Well, again, she even says there's a ton of other terms that she doesn't even think about here that Cleos tells her, but the only thing she's really focusing on are these. But even these, yes, wouldn't be accepted. But yeah, he confirms that was part of it. Like, she like asked, like, wait, did he actually talk about the kids? And he's like, yes. She's like, all right, well, tell me about the kids. Did you see them?
Yeah. I saw them both all the time. Yeah.
Sansa's safe.
The wine worked.
Ah, fuck. Got your ass.
She's like, tell me true. You surrendered your guest right when you brought traitors into my house. You lie to me. You're going to be hanging right with them. Don't think I'm lying. Or did you see the girls? And he's like, I saw Sansa. She actually looked okay. A little pale maybe, but pretty good.
No Arya.
But no Arya. And Kat thinks that could mean anything or nothing, because Arya's always like...
She could be dead. Could she not have been tamed? Cersei could have just been like, fuck this girl.
She's just going to keep shouting out every courtroom, like, fuck you, Joffrey. Exactly. Like, that's the... Arya's just a heckler in the crowd.
I wish she did. That'd be
I
great.
wish she would have stayed in King's Landing.
This is the first update.
What do you mean? The cat's
Yeah,
dead.
I mean, it's definitely the first warning that Arya, something's up with Arya, right? One way or the other.
I mean, it was always just assumed that she was there. So now she knows questionable. And then she figures out these are Tyrion's terms, not Cersei.
How was Cersei not involved here? He's like, I don't know. She was indisposed. And Kat starts thinking like, wow, Tyrion's kind of clever. I don't know if that's actually her like thinking like, did he get Cersei out of the way this day? He did, but I don't know if that's Kat realizing this, right? Like, he gave her like what?
He did the old eye drop test.
Yeah, I don't know if she knows that, but I think she knows that like he's scheming and that this is his scheme, his plan.
Gotcha. Yep.
I mean, and she reflects on
their time together,
scheming Bronn away from her, and like just him being the one who tried to get Bran killed. And
she thinks one thing that's funny is she's like, I have no fucking idea how, because remember, like, once he's free of his name, Lysa's basically like, all right, you're free to go, and just like lets him out the front door, knowing that he's just going to get destroyed by the Mountain Clansmen.
Like, how the fuck did he get
like,
past?
I have no idea how he got past, but it doesn't surprise me. Like, he weaseled his way out of every other situation he was in when I was with him, so it doesn't. She's not surprised, but she does think like, how the fuck did he do it?
Stupid Catelyn. That was easy to put together.
It is crazy how he did it. I mean, he got captured. I mean, I guess like he would have been
captured. Yeah,
he did. He had to promise everybody just like So yeah, that gets into the Bran. She starts thinking like, can we trust him? Blah, blah, blah. And she comes to the conclusion basically like, can't trust him. She tells Cleos that they can't trust him. And when she does so, she tells him like,
she freaks out on him.
She's like, he sent the dagger or something like that, right? And Cleo's like, I have no idea what you're talking about, lady.
Right.
Like, I'm the drunk one here.
She flipped a switch and it's like, Cleos is probably like, what the fuck did I just do? Like one of those moments.
He's like, I know nothing of any. And she's like, you know nothing.
Yes, I concur. I know nothing. Like, please let me. I'm just the messenger. This is like prime, like, don't shoot the messenger type shit. Like, I'm sorry, I don't know shit.
Yeah, and Cat storms out. Brienne's behind her. Brienne saw the whole thing. Cat's like, damn, I wish I was a man. I would just start killing people. But women.
And she's like, I wish I was Brienne because she's not involved in a lot of this bullshit that I am.
Yep.
All right, so then she eats dinner with her garrison tonight to try and keep spirits up and show face. And people are Ryman's singing again. He's singing about Rob at the Ox Cross this time.
Only got one line.
Woo!
And the stars in the night were the eyes of his wolves, and the wind itself was their song. You guys laugh at me when I sing only one line, so I'm not going to do it unless it's more than that. We've heard one line before. And not sung it.
Where is it? I can't see.
But yes, there's howling in between the verses, and everyone starts joining in. Desmond Grell's wasted. He's joining in too. Cat's like, I'll let them have their songs. I'll let them have their songs if it gives them courage.
Yeah, let them be happy while they can, right?
And the stars in the night were the eyes of his wolves, and the wind itself was their song.
There you go. First off, this reminds me of Bran, because Bran's howling in Winterfell, right? People were yelling at Bran for howling in Winterfell because the wolves wouldn't shut up, and then Bran's hyping them up. And it reminds me of when Cat was with Renly, not the chapter he died, the chapter beforehand. They're all like jousting, and then they're in the tent, and they're all like singing and partying. And she was not thinking like, oh, it's giving them brave. I get maybe she was a little bit, but she's mostly thinking like, oh, these are the boys of summer. Like they don't know real battle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't know real war. I don't really understand the next conversation about the singers. Like, I don't understand its place with. Is it just to show like Brienne is a little bit soft at heart, like she likes to sing, or like
I like to
think
sing.
it's to connect her to Catelyn a little, humanize her to Catelyn a little.
I just don't understand. Yeah, I just don't understand the place of it. Yeah, maybe
you're right though. It is weird.
Like just to learn some more about her upbringing.
Brienne's just like, yeah, I used to listen to music. I learned all the songs by heart. And
maybe your point, Kyle, remind her of Sansa.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is connecting her to Cat.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a little confused of its place, but yeah, I guess it's.
But you're right. It was kind of weird, and then she's like, "Well, you must sing for me later." Yeah. And she's like, "No, I don't fucking sing."
Yeah, that part got super weird. Like, if it's just trying to make a connection that Brienne's somebody's daughter too, and like maybe Cat can be a little bit of a mother figure to a motherless Brienne.
Yeah,
possible. Yeah.
All right. So then she gets word of the big battle. Is this like the next day, or I don't?
3 days later.
I love I think my favorite part though is she's like, "You must sing for me," and she's like, "Nah, I can't." Yeah. And then she's like, "I gotta be going." Like, sorry.
Yeah, she's
like, I'm done with this shit.
Yeah, you're making me uncomfortable, Cat. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
I'm cool. You want me to kill somebody, but sing? No. Yeah.
That's where I draw the line.
You're on your own tonight. So
check the contract, bitch. I'm out. Yeah. So 3 days later, Jeff, that's when it happens. They get news. Of what Brienne had predicted, and 3 days later it happened, and 2 days later after that they got news of it.
They got word back.
Yep. The rider came. He was a little beat up, which is surprising because don't they say like only a few people crossed the river? Like, why is this guy beat up? Like,
I think more crossed with Clegane at Stone Mill.
Yeah, this definitely
like
had some stuff, man. There's the fiercest battle fought at Stone Mill. Like, so many people died. The horses were damming up. I feel like this was.
They almost dammed the river. So I'm sure, like at that point,
I don't know if it's all the enemy though. Like you're
not meeting them in the river. You have crossbows and scorpions and catapult shit on your banks. I don't think you're meeting them on the river,
but I do think once the river starts to get dammed up, it's a lot easier to cross then. Like
I will say it doesn't make sense to meet them in the river, but like haven't we heard like Robert and Rhaegar like had like a big fight in the middle of the river?
Yeah, that was very supposedly killed him, right?
But I feel like that was more, I don't know. I can't imagine how it's too much different than this, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like you wouldn't be fighting in the river.
They find Joffrey's sword.
Yeah, I think that's near where Bolton's at. That's
the
not
one
too
battle
further.
we have actually been a part of was Tyrion, and like the river was like, you can't go that far. Like the river is
literally
out of
that's
bounds,
just the border.
basically.
Yeah.
So, whatever. So big win.
I will say most of the stuff that they say, like the report, you guys might not know, but it's all the bad guys, right? So like Leo Lefford was drowned. That's a Tywin. We've heard of him in Tywin councils before. Sir Lyle Craigcall, aka Strongboar, taken captive. He's a Tywin guy. Sir Adam Marbrand had to retreat 3 different times. Another big high-ranking Tywin guy. So like they say like all this stuff, but it is all like we are doing good stuff.
Who's this Gregor Clegane?
That's the mountain.
Kyle knows that. That's the mountain. Who rides?
Yeah, but anyway, so he shows up, right?
Yes, he maybe got across to the bank, but had to run across,
He got
bleeding
away
from wounds, getting rained on by arrows and rocks. And Edmure assures in the letter they won't cross, and basically Tywin's out. Like they're seemingly done. Like Cat thinks it might be like a fake, but he seemingly just headed southeast.
Yeah. Traces her fingers back, like you said on the map, to the Blackwater Rush, and the big quote at the end is, "If they're winning, why is she still so afraid?"
Yep. There's a little bit they're talking about. They should make a song of it. The Grell, basically everyone's fired up. Cat lets them party more, gives them some hope. They do mention all the small folk. I think we said before
the castle is bumping because Edmure took the people in that you didn't want him to take in. He took them in. They love him now. He just solidified everything. If this is really what happened, and
Edmure's the best lord. Edmure's the best lord so far. Right? He does everything right. He wins the battle. He protects his people.
But you were saying it was a dumb move.
I'm saying I'm saying it was set up to be. No, I'm saying it was set up to think he was gonna lose because he had less numbers. Tywin needs to get across this fucking river.
You're just a fucking pessimist.
Cat's afraid, but I think to your guys' point, at least Jeff's point. I don't know if Kyle said it, but like Cat being a pessimist gets put onto the reader because she thinks you have no hope. Makes me think I have no hope because she says there's no hope like 4 times.
Yeah,
chapter,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And she's still afraid, but maybe unfounded afraidness.
Yeah. And I'm not hating on Kat. I'm just like I usually do. I don't really care for her. I'm just like a born optimist, so I hate pessimistic attitudes. Like if you're going into a battle thinking you're going to lose, like don't go in with me.
That's true. Yeah, 100%. I think it pays to be a realist sometimes, though.
Sure, but you know you have a battle. It's like you can be realist. Like that team's pretty good, but you came up with a plan. You didn't come up with that plan to lose. You came up with that plan because you thought this was the best chance you had to win.
Yeah.
So at least if you're going in, you better go in optimistic or don't go in at all. If you're second guessing yourself, get the fuck out. Get out of my council.
Like before the chapter, if I'm Emir before the chapter, what I'm saying to Kat is like, what's your plan? Like, you don't like my plan? Well, give me something better.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, her plan would be trade Jamie for Arya and Sansa and let me go home.
Throw up a white flag and give me my girls back. Yeah, exactly. So,
all right, Kyle, what's next?
Man, I don't know. I feel like they're definitely setting it up here with something. I wish Nelson would have put that map away. There it is. But I mean, either Tywin is gonna go to King's Landing, but I don't see him saying "fuck it" to Castle Rock. That's the part that I'm kind of torn between here. It's like he can't just be disappearing on that, right? Yeah, I mean, there's not really a great way there from the south. Like that was why they were going this way through the Golden Tooth and everything. That's why that is so important.
Yeah, I mean, there's mountains there. I mean, it's hard to tell. Like,
yeah,
I'm assuming those mountains
not
are
a topographical map.
a great option. Yeah, but who knows?
I mean, King's Landing is the only other thing that makes sense to go try and fight Stannis, but like I said, I can't see him just ditching this. So maybe he makes a sneak attack once they all kind of piece back into their castles and whatnot and think they've won the victory here. But I see Tywin doing something, regrouping and coming back at River Run is my, I guess, if you want an actual prediction.
Gotcha. Okay. And I will say that the other thing to mention while I have the map up is Tarth, where Brienne is from. Evenfall Hall is this island right here next to Storm's End. So we were talking about like, has she been, like, how does she know?
Close, yeah.
Big island.
They're probably
she's
friends.
Close. Yeah.
The towns are friends, I guess is what I mean. Friendly together. Partners.
I probably have been there. Renly might not have been there a lot because he's a High Lord, but they've probably visited a lot. It's like Clay Serwyn coming to Winterfell all the time, right? So Yep, that's about it. Any other? I don't know what other predictions. I think that's pretty much good. The most of this chapter was on the like main war focus. So,
All right.
I mean, I guess maybe like anything with Rob. Like Rob's way out west right now. What's his next plan? I guess.
I mean, I already went through Rob. I don't know why he's doing this dumb shit. In my opinion, I think he should be at the castle, but. I mean, I don't see anything going like horribly wrong out there. It sounds like he's got things mopped up. We don't really have an inside look. So how am I to know?
I mean, to be fair, right? Like, there was a point where Rob was at Riverrun and Tywin was at Harrenhal with more men. Like, at that point, it makes sense for Rob to go west because, like, he's not going to go to Harrenhal. He's probably just going to lose that battle. So what? You're just saying he needs to just pull the trigger and come back now? He's been there long enough.
When did I say that? I said that he should go to
Castle Rock. Well, you're saying it doesn't make sense for him to be out there. Oh, Castle Rock, gotcha. You said he should go to the castle. I didn't know what that meant. You mean Castle Rock.
I mean, well, if you listen to the rest of this podcast, you would have heard me say it.
You said it earlier, yeah.
No, that was what I meant, yeah. It's Castle Rock. Like, you got to hit the heart, right?
Yeah.
The heart of the beast.
Strike him where it hurts.
I mean, you've taken enough of little ones around him. Like, at some point, you should strike. But, all right, I'm good.
Next chapter, Bran 6.
All right. Bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle.
See you later, Kyle.
I gotta say it for old time's sake, I guess. Later, nerds.
Bye, Kyle.
There's still 2 of us.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
See you later, Kyle. Nice knowing you. On to the spoiler section of Cat 6. Boys, what are your hot takes?
I don't know if I have any super hot takes, but there's definitely some stuff to talk about here.
No hot takes, yeah. Some things that I want to bring up, and then just, I think maybe just kind of discussion of how shit actually happens. I just want to mention to start off, like, more and more singers. Like, I'm a little bit
before you get into it, let me tell you one thing. That when Bran gets to the Children of the Forest, they tell him that they're called the Singers. They call themselves the Singers. Like, in their own language, that's what their word for Children of the Forest means, is singers.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
So the Song of Ice and Fire, people think that's like is that a children
is that a play off them singing, or them just telling that, like, singers tell a song story?
Like the history of the world lives on through these stories, the children through songs, right? Like, that's kind of how, like, the original histories, when, like, super prehistoric people, right, before we could write and stuff, you sang songs and spoken, like, tales were, like, easier to remember than, like, history books. So you would tell fanciful tales or sing songs exactly like Kat's talking in this chapter. So the singers, again, the Children of the Forest are related to this Weirwood network, theoretically, like a way to just store your life. Like, once you die, you go in there and all your memories live on forever. So, like, the singers, if songs are a way to, like, store history forever, then the Children of the Forest being singers make sense with the whole, like, when they die, their memories are stored forever in this.
For sure. Yeah. And I'm almost, like, thinking the singers, like, all of these bards that we're seeing in the last 2 chapters, and I think we see a lot more going forward, they're more or less a way to spread news, like we've said. Like, it's just like, oh, let's get to this castle. He's singing a song about Tyrion fucking a whore, you know? So,
yeah.
But I also just have, like, a little bit of a red flag because of Mance Rayder being a bard really early on at Winterfell. Like, I feel like these singers have a hidden agenda a lot of the time.
Well, I mean, it is interesting, right? Kat says, like, why are all these boys? I mean, this is how the singers reference in this chapter. Right? She says, why are all these boys so eager to, like, play at war? Why do they always, like, why is that a thing that, like, boys love? And she thinks, is it because we glorify war in these songs?
For sure.
George R. R. Martin, if you think about this, the author, he is anti-war. He got drafted, and he got out of the draft because he showed the whatever it was, the draft board, that in college he had already written a novel that was anti-war. It was about a person, like, deserting from war and, like, not being okay with killing people and stuff. And that got him a conscientious objector status, and he was able to fulfill his draft duties through volunteer service in America without having to go into war because he's fucking anti-war, right? So Kat in this chapter is saying, like, man, people glorify war. And I feel like even a lot of times when we read the book, we say all the time, like, oh, was there anybody that died in this chapter? Oh, no, it's going to be a shitty chapter. We even do it when we read the book. But I think, like, to your point, do they
I
have
mean, we
this hidden
do it.
agenda?
We do it all the time in life too. Like Saving Private Ryan is maybe one of the greatest movies ever made.
Exactly, and like, what does that do? That gets
Like
people fired up to join the army.
I'm sure some
right?
kids have watched that and be like, "Holy fuck!" Like that's my purpose. I should be
So I think to kind of like your point, like, do singers have a hidden agenda? I don't think it's as easy for like singers as a collective to have a collective hidden agenda like the Maesters would, because there's an organized structure around there. But to your point, I think like singers are used to spread propaganda, whether they know it or not, right? Like fighting is not, like, kind of what Kat says, like, knights die in battle. Fighting is not in anyone's best interest. Everyone who's in this castle is
somebody's losing and somebody's dying. If there's two people fighting, one of them lost, one of them's dead.
And the only reason Brienne wants to be out there putting her life on the line is because of song. She kind of says
it's for the glory.
It's for the glory, right? And that comes from songs, right? You're right, that being memorialized forever is slightly different than like because you're being propaganda fed that like fighting is the right thing to do. But where does Brienne get this idea from? This like idea of glory? It's from all these songs, right?
Yeah, that's not. I meant more or less like if you were sending out a network of like spies, like I could see Varys employing all of these singers, right? Because it's kind of known that they travel around and that they will obviously sing their songs, but they are also going to be in all of the brew houses and the brothels and just hear the rumors and whatnot. Like, I just feel like they're not out there just to sing. Like,
so kind of what you're saying. There was a quote that I had in this chapter that was really short that reminded me of the Children of the Forest. And when at the end when they get news of the battle and Kat's talking to Sir Desmond Grell, and Sir Desmond Grell says like, "Oh, the song is almost writing itself, right? Like the mill that ground the mountain down. I could write the song myself if only I had the singer's gift."
Yeah.
Right. Singer's gift. Again, when you think of singers meaning children of the forest, if only I had the children of the forest gift. What's the children of the forest gifts? They can kind of go in people's dreams. The ability
to like store it. Yeah.
Well, they can go into people's dreams and influence people, right? Like, that's what Bloodraven does. He goes into Bran's dreams and influences Bran to do stuff. Same shit with Jojen. Mm-hmm. And to what you're saying, singers, actual bards and singers, they don't go in people's dreams, but they have the same effect. Mm. They influence what people do through their song.
Yeah, yeah.
So Desmond Grell says, "I don't have the singer's gift," meaning like I don't have the ability. He's talking about like singing about glory, right?
Yeah.
But why did Edmure go out to do what he did? Maybe it's for the same reason Brienne did, and it's better to die in battle.
I mean,
and
that's
now he got a song made out of it.
The first line of the chapter is,
"I'm going to make him proud
of me."
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Edmure doesn't like singers, so he probably wasn't going for a song.
But if it's about him, I'm sure it's
a little different. Which is
I just wanted to mention, like, every time a singer is mentioned and it has a name, like, it's not just some bard. This is Ryman the Rhymer. So like.
Yeah, exactly. Keep them in track.
All right, who the fuck's Ryman the Rhymer?
So,
I need to.
On the track of mysterious singers in this chapter, when you said like it was kind of weird how like Kat and Brienne started talking about singers out of nowhere. Brienne says that one time a singer came to.
Yeah, no, I have this. A dark-haired, purple-eyed girl from across the sea.
Plum-eyed girl who sang in a voice a language she didn't know.
So it's either it's a girl from Valyria or.
Thing is, there's not many Valyrians around, right? After the Doom, there's not many Valyrians around, and there's not many Targaryens around either.
Right.
I mean, brown hair, right? So maybe not Targaryen, but you say plum eyes, and everyone who's reading these books is raising an eyebrow, right? Yeah. So I did do some Googling. I couldn't really find too much on this, but when you think on the fact that, like I said, Brienne, like we don't know anything about Brienne's mom. We literally never hear anything about Bran's mom. And then what we hear in this chapter, there's a lady here every year. Is it possible that a lady showed up, he married her, he got a divorce, she left, and he got a new wife? Like this. Yeah,
well, that's why I kind of mentioned, like, it wasn't like it was like an every night thing. Like, it's not like he's just finding girls to, get a nut off and pass it on. Like, having a girl for a year is a little bit different. Like, it doesn't really make sense.
Think if instead of Kat was talking to Brienne, Kat was talking to Walder Frey's daughter. Mm-hmm. She might say the same thing. My dad had a different lady every year. Like, dude has had 8 wives. It's not every year, but like you're saying, a slight exaggeration to get the point across.
Right. Yeah. I guess we just don't hear about Brienne's dad enough, whether he's just kind of having someone to warm his bed, and like until he loses her favor, or she loses his favor, then he kicks her out, or if he's like actually marrying girls and something happens, and maybe it's actually like 5 years and she's just exaggerated. I don't know. I thought it was weird that it was worded year after year. It was goofy. And this purple-eyed girl, like, what the fuck's this purple-eyed girl? Like, what's the point of the mention? Is it a Dane? Is it a Valyrian? Is it the girl who ends up with Tyrion later on like the little fucking rowboat thing?
I mean, all these things I'm thinking of. Septa Lamore, the thing about her is Tyrion notes she has stretch marks, can tell she was definitely pregnant. Brienne notes that this girl was so skinny you could put her arms around her waist.
Yeah.
Your hands around her waist. I looked up theories. There's really not much on who this person could be, but it's definitely interesting to think about, and especially
it's
interesting
super
when,
weird
like,
to just mention.
You have women coming and going.
Yeah.
Again, like, I doubt she's Brienne's mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because she has a skinny waist and that type of stuff.
And you could bounce back from a kid, but
yeah, I mean, but if George was trying to like point a hint that this was her
I'm thinking more or less like she remembers seeing this girl, like she was already.
I mean, he could have had the mom. She could have left and come back. I guess I don't know. I don't know why that would have happened.
But I don't know. Like that's pretty undutiful. Like I feel like if you're if the mom abandons the kid, I'm sure the dad's not really taking her back with like open arms in this period of time.
I'm just thinking about it. I don't know what else I don't know what else that could mean, but definitely interesting. I don't know, like keep it in the back of your mind, but I don't know when it.
I don't even remember us like, right? I don't know. It's like what the but then there was a mention of Ashara here too, and
so hold on before we get into Ashara, let's go back and just cover some of the smaller things from a little bit earlier in the chapter.
Yeah.
First, Kat thinks she's talking about the Brandon and Littlefinger thing. I gave Brandon my favor. I never went to see Littlefinger after he was injured. It's a real quick line.
But this is when Lysa fucks him.
It's a real quick line, but again, I don't think it's happened yet. But later, what you're thinking is Peter tells somebody, like, Kat came to me in the night. But he was like super fucked up on night. Yeah, he was like super fucked up on like milk of the poppy and wine. And exactly. It was Lysa.
Well, that's what I mentioned to Kyle too. I was like, because he already said that he took her maidenhood. I forget who
he did. He said he took her maidenhood, but he didn't say like it was after the bat. He did. I think he mentioned the fight with Brandon, and he definitely told like Tyrion, when Tyrion's a cat, Tyrion says Littlefinger told everybody at court he took your maidenhood. Like I think Tyrion tells Cat that he heard from Littlefinger that.
Yeah.
But again, it's not related to, like, we don't hear it in relation to the duel or anything like that, right? So the reason this line is interesting here is because later, when Littlefinger thinks that Cat came to him, Will Kyle will remember this line. That Cat thinks, I never came to him. I never went to see Littlefinger after the battle.
No, for sure not. Because it's mentioned here that Cat was like, the next paragraph is like, and Ned took my maidenhood. So it's like that's what I kind of mentioned without saying it. Because
the reason why I think it's kind of related, and again, I don't know how much Kyle's thinking about some of this stuff, but in previous Cat chapters, like even like maybe the last one, right? Hoster's already saying some like, who was that stripling boy, right? So and Kyle already said like Littlefinger, like she had a thing with Littlefinger. Kyle already even said Lysa.
Wasn't she calling her Lysa though?
Exactly. She was saying like, Lysa, don't worry about it. Like,
Lysa, stay away from that boy. And he was like, yeah, that's got to be Littlefinger. Like,
exactly. Yeah. That's what Kyle said.
Like, that's red flag. Lysa was like Littlefinger
exactly.
more.
So I think when he gets to the line that Littlefinger says Cat slept with him, he'd be like, wait, did Cat actually sleep with him? Like, we've never heard Cat think that. And again, I don't know if he'll remember this line. And if he doesn't, then he might not be sure.
But when he read this one, he was like, oh, maybe Cat did care for Lysa. Or maybe the Cat did care about Littlefinger more than just.
That makes sense because here she's thinking of like sacrifices she made to do her duty, sacrifices she made for her family. I dropped everything and told my father, yes, I'm going to marry Brandon. I don't give a fuck. I said I'm going to marry Ned without meeting him. I said I'm going to be the lady.
But they were friends. Like they were openly friends. Like they played. They were kids at play. You know,
exactly.
Your friend gets hurt.
To what Kyle said, I don't think that this shows that she loved him, but it shows that there was a friendship there, right? So the sacrifice she made was, when I was told to be Brandon, I'm Brandon. Littlefinger, sorry, dude, but you stepped up to something you couldn't deal with, and I got to do my duty. Like, you're my friend, but I got to do my duty.
And she probably didn't love him either.
Not
like,
love,
let's
but
not-
friend. Like again, you're still friends.
But he loved her. Like he loved her.
She knew that,
and she didn't.
She knew that.
Like she probably could have just been like, "Hey, dude, like I don't love you back. Like don't waste your time."
I bet you she gave. Yeah, we don't know, but I assume that's kind of like how it was.
Yeah.
But who knows? So next little thing.
So
Go
my
ahead.
turn. We get news of Rob marching to the crag and House Westerling is mentioned for the first time.
Yep. So the crag is the seat of House Westerling. Rob's about to do the Rob thing that fucks everything over. Also, this chapter, I'm on team fuck Rob. Rob is he fucked up big time. Edmure had a good plan, and Kyle's right. If Rob would have known of it, here's the thing: if Rob would have known about what Edmure was doing here, or if Edmure would have known what Rob's real plan was, everything goes way better. This is just a 100% miscommunication problem.
Sure. So like, right, Edmure's winning right now. What's the downfall? What happened to Edmure?
The problem is Rob wanted Tywin to come west, and the reason he's not hitting Castle Rock is because he wanted Tywin to come back, and he wanted to smash him when he was in Castle Rock.
Yeah. Fine. What's the downfall? He just goes south, so then the trap never gets sprung. Like, does Edmure lose a battle, or does Rob come back to
listen,
River Run?
listen.
No, I get the whole point of it. But in the show, we talked about this a little bit off podcast. Like in the show, Edmure kind of wins, but loses at the same time because they lose a lot of men.
No.
Right?
No.
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, the show quote is like, "And how many men did you lose to hold the fort or whatever?" We can pull it up right now. We can pull it up right now.
We can pull it up. I'm pretty sure it's the. I'm pretty sure Rob's more mad about the about him not letting him go west.
Yes, but he's also like, you lost X amount of men because of this. Where at this point, it doesn't really seem like he's losing men, at least.
You're right. Yeah, he loses like by my account, I would say 0 men.
All right, let's just watch this clip here, just so we get a where I'm coming from on this. I want to watch it.
Encountered a situation with one of my lieutenants at the stone mill, which may have some bearing upon you.
Shut your mouth about that damn mill. And don't call him nephew. He's your king.
Rob knows I meant him no
You're
disrespect.
lucky I'm not your king. I wouldn't let you wave your blunders around like a victory flag.
My blunder sent Tywin's mad dog scurrying back to Casterly Rock with his tail.
The show's so good.
I think King Rob understands we're not going to win this war if he's the only one winning any battles. There's glory enough to go around.
It's not about glory. Your instructions were to wait for him to come to you.
I seized an opportunity.
What value was the mill?
The mountain was garrisoned across the river from it.
Is he there now?
Of course not. We took the fight to him. He could not withstand us.
I wanted to draw the mountain into the west, into our country where we could surround him and kill him.
Me
I
being
wanted him
right?
to chase us, which he would have done because he is a mad dog without a strategic thought in his head. I could have that head on a spike by now. Instead, I have a mill.
We took hostages. Willem Lannister, Martin Lannister.
Willem and Martin Lannister are 14 years old.
Martin is 15.
Blackfish.
Blackfish is good.
Tywin Lannister has my sisters. Have I sued for peace?
No.
Do you think he'll sue for peace because we have his father's
Dude, show's good, bro.
brother's great
Yeah.
grandson?
Also, they make Edmure seem like an asshole. Like Edmure,
Yeah, well,
disagreeing
let's
with
just
you.
watch the rest of the scene. Hold on.
How many men did you lose?
208. But for every man we lost, the Lannisters
We
lost.
need our men more than Tywin needs his.
okay, you're right.
So, like, that's my point. Was like,
So I'll play this clip in the in the
I
YouTube video. I'll
agree-
play this clip and I'll play the audio on the audio podcast.
yeah,
But yeah, we watched the scene. Jeff and I just watched the scene from the show. First off, I'll say the show leaves such a bad taste in your mouth, right? Like you just like I have no inclination to go back and watch any of those episodes. And I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. 'cause of
yeah,
season
dude.
8.
I've
This
done
is
it.
a great scene.
I've actually done it, and I watched up to season 8, and I just didn't watch season 8.
If I ever get a girlfriend, I hope that she's never seen Game of Thrones and I'll go through that journey again. But I'm not going to do it on my own. I know. First off, I've seen them so many times. I've seen the first 6 seasons. I have to have seen them at least 5 times each, all of them. First season, it's probably over 20 times, dude. Every time a season would come out, I'd watch them. After season 4, I started watching in season 3. So for season 4, I started watching season 3, watched all of them, then watched the second half of season 3. Watched all of them again before season 4, and I watched every season before the next season came out every single time. So before 5, 6, and then
I remember.
Times.
It's one of those shows that if in my off season I can have another screen going, and I'll just usually have a show going. So that's one. Sopranos,
Office.
Not really the Office. I mean, the Office is
you can't be cracking up in the.
I like to watch The Office if I'm gonna try and run on the treadmill. I know it's a 19-minute episode. It's good enough for a warm up, quick run, and a cool down.
You couldn't listen to a Game of Morning Throners podcast on a treadmill. You don't have the endurance for it.
No, fuck that.
Your cardio sessions are 20 minutes tops.
Maximum. I'm a anaerobic athlete. But so let's get back on point. I agree with you. It's Rob's fault. It's Rob's fault for not trusting Edmure with the plan, or if he really truly planned on I get it, right? He's out in the West to try and raise the flag that we need to go defend the West. We don't really. Do we know that Rob told Edmure to stay put? I forget the last conversation.
I think I don't know if we get the last conversation, but I think we get a similar thing to this scene because Kat might be in the room. I think Rob's basically all I told you was stay at hold River Run.
Yeah.
Right. Edmure, I'm not disagreeing that Edmure took a lot of liberties. He pulled men out of the phrase, right? It's not just he's I'm going to defend the river.
Right.
He pulled men out of the phrase and did shit did Rob's commands almost.
Right. I think that's a minus for sure. Is pulling people out of the phrase, telling the Harrenhal, telling the Bolton crew to take that's too much liberty. You had a job, do your role, stay in your role. I agree with you.
And I think it's a good plan, except for. And again, I'm going to say Edmure's unlucky about this, but I think a Tywin level or even Stannis level battle commander would think about this type of thing beforehand. And maybe Rob was. I don't think Rob ever says he was, but maybe he was. Because of what Edmure does here, Tywin has one place to go. So. And because of where he goes, Stannis loses. If Edmure loses here, let's think of what happens in King's Landing if Edmure loses. Or Edmure just does not even lose if he just stays in stays in Riverrun. Because kind of what I was saying earlier, maybe they do Tywin has 20,000 men. He could leave 5,000 men to try and siege Riverrun or whatever. But he's taking most of his men west to stop what Rob's doing. So Riverrun's not his main objective. He's just trying to get by, right? So maybe if you just let him by, he's gone. Okay, what happens then? We don't know what happens with him and Rob, but everything in Riverrun stays the same as it is. North guys take Harrenhal. Basically, the Riverlands are free of all Tywin, right? Rob being the king of the North in Riverlands now, maybe that's his main goal. Let's just get my people safe. I don't want Tywin's 20,000 in my... The other thing is, right, let's think about... I get it. Let me go one more second. Because of this, Tywin goes and wins and Stannis loses. If Tywin crosses the river, I say wins, but it doesn't have to be a win. Edmure could have just stayed in Riverrun. If Tywin crosses the river and goes west, Stannis probably wins the King's Landing battle, and the North is way better off, right? Way better off. The Lannisters are done. Even if Tywin beats Rob, the Lannisters are done. You have everyone else except just look at the map that I showed.
I don't agree.
Look at the map that I showed. Right now, Lannisters hold King's Landing. Tywin has a huge army in the middle, and they hold Castle Rock. Mm-hmm. If Edmure loses, they only hold Castle Rock. They don't hold King's Landing. There's no more big army in the middle of everything, and they're only in the west. And the entire world is united against them.
But this is what I was going to say. All right, Edmure lets him pass. There's no guarantee that Rob beats Tywin.
You're right, but even if Rob doesn't, Rob dies anyway in the next book. Say Rob's entire army gets smashed. Stannis holds King's Landing.
Tywin still has 10,000 or, he still has an army.
Sure, but we hold River. Tywin went from holding 3 castles, Harrenhal, King's Landing, and Castle Rock, to holding 1, Castle Rock, and he's all in one spot now.
Why would he not take over Riverrun? If he beats Edmure and Rob, he would take over Riverrun.
He could march back to Riverrun, But by then, now what's Stannis doing?
I mean, Stannis doesn't.
I get you.
have that,
What I'm
like,
saying is, by going to
I'm
King's
saying
Landing,
it's not over. It's not over yet.
by going to King's Landing, the Lannisters still have 2 big footholds. And again, there's not a lot of
Yeah.
power at Castle Rock, but it's a big defensive spot.
Yeah.
And Robb has his own problems in the North right now that nobody really knows about. But it's going to be a
Mhm.
big impact on the North anyway.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like Robb, this should be a fundamental plan. Like we're gonna go. Maybe like it's stupid. Like you can't assume that Edmure knows what you're thinking.
So I just talked out what happens if Edmure loses plan. Let's assume Edmure wins, but Robb knows everything that's happening. So Robb comes back to Riverrun, right? Let's say that happens. First off, that might be the best of all scenarios just because Robb doesn't ever end up going to the Crag and the Freys never switch sides.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We've mentioned this before, like there's hints that Tywin might have been working on Red Wedding stuff already. Who knows?
Yeah.
But theoretically, it hasn't started yet. All right, the Red Wedding planning. In the beginning, in the first Tyrion chapter in Storm of Swords, Tyrion meets with Tywin after the Battle of Blackwater, and Tywin's like, "Hurry up, I have shit to do." Some battles are won with swords, and some are won with ravens, and it's assumed that he is working on the Red Wedding River at that point, right? So most people assume it starts at the beginning of the Storm of Swords, but it could have already been happening. But besides, without even the Frey stuff, what happens if Robb just comes back? Say Edmure wins here, and say next, like 2 days from now, Robb shows up at Riverrun. What, like, how do you think that plays? Like, how do you think the rest of the battle plays out? Like, that's basically what happens anyway, right? Robb just comes back.
Yeah. So I'm definitely with you here. Like, all right, Robb comes back. Edmure held the ford. Lannisters retreat to King's Landing. They didn't lose because of that. They lose because Robb fucks over the Freys.
Yeah. The Frey stuff.
So that's why I'm saying, like, Edmure gets such a bad, like, they're fucking talking down to that guy in the show.
Yeah.
Where to this point, and to kind of what you're saying, he's winning right now.
No, I think they purposely make Edmure like a laughing.
For sure. Yeah.
And again, I don't think that's horrible. Edmure is a minor character, but like season 8 did him real dirty. Like at the end of if he's alive at the end of everything and stands up and says, "I should be king," what has he done to make me think he shouldn't be king? He protected what lord? When there's a battle at their doorsteps, lets all the small folk in. Is it the smart thing to do? No. But is it what you want your king to do? If you're a peasant, fuck yeah. And it just hurts me when I see that scene in season 8 when he's like, "I'll do it." And literally just everyone laughs. I'm like, and I get it. Like in the show, he fucking misses the fucking arrow shot 3 times. That's not in the book, right? Like he's
What happens in season 8? What does he say he wants to do?
They're like, "We need to decide who's going to be king. Like who's going to rule over us." Like Tyrion says, like, "We'll decide amongst us who will do it." And then Edmure is the first one to stand up, and like everyone starts laughing. And then Sam's like, "We'll vote for it," and everyone starts laughing again.
Yeah,
and it's like, "Will my dog get a vote?" And like Edmure is like a worse suggestion than voting to them, and Edmure's a better king than Bran. Like I'll say it right here, Edmure is a better king than Bran would be. Fuck yes. He does nothing wrong in his books.
In the book.
That's what I'm talking about. Fuck the show.
We don't know if Bran's going to be king. I really hope he's not. I think that'd be super stupid.
All right, let's get into some of the other ones. I only have 2 more.
Edric.
Go ahead.
Kyle doesn't have any clue what Edric's being used for yet.
Yeah, correct. And I feel like we even tried to give him a little hint at it. Like in the parlay, when Stannis was like, "Give me Edric," and Alistair Florent was like, "Trust me, he's my own nephew. We're not going to do him any harm." And I was like, why would he need to say that? Like, shouldn't it just be like assumed he's not going to do him any harm? Like, I gave a little hint there, but like, yeah, I mean, and what Kat's saying makes sense. But yeah, that's not really what Stannis wants it for. He wants it for the king's blood. Yeah,
right. Like, but I guess he doesn't really have the knowledge that Shadow Baby. He just didn't pick up that Shadow Babies are actually kind of like taking life out of Stannis.
Who didn't? Kyle. Yeah. I mean,
Kyle's not putting that together. He's not putting together that. And I think we pointed out like Stannis like wasn't sleeping or like he didn't look as good.
Said he looked older. Yeah, I thought he did. I thought Kyle did say something about that.
No, I think I tried to like kind of probe at it, but he didn't really. It was like, oh, he's probably just scared of what happened. The nightmare. He was just scared of the nightmare. Where he's actually taking his life, which is why we need Edric's blood so that Stannis doesn't die. And then if we end up burning the daughter later on, like same deal. Like
exactly.
This is all to keep Stannis
We're running out of
alive.
Stannis. Yeah, Stannis can't keep putting up with all these Red Woman sacrifice deals. Yep.
I didn't realize, like I said, Edric being. I always imagine Edric being like kind of a Gendry aged guy.
Gendry,
yeah.
He might be like, I feel like he's 10 because first Davos chapter, Storm of Swords, Davos is walking around Dragonstone once he gets picked up off his rock and stuff, and Edric runs him over. Like Edric is running up the stairs chasing Jingle Bells. What's his name? Patchface or something.
Yeah.
And Lily runs Davos over. Like Davos falls down. Granted, Davos was on a rock for like 2 weeks and is pretty much skin and bone. But like a 10-year-old boy isn't going to run over a grown man unless, like, first off, he's probably not a small 10-year-old boy.
He's a unit, yeah.
Yeah. He's Robert's son, so. But yeah, so the big one for this chapter, I mean, at least the big one for us to talk about, I think, is probably the Jon mom. And again, I don't even know how much.
Jon mom. Not Jon Con, Jon mom.
And I'm surprised Kyle hasn't ever showed interest in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I heard another thing related to Jon when Cleos is talking and he's like, I knew nothing of this. I knew nothing of any plan. And Kat yells, you know nothing. That's literally it. She just yells, you know nothing, which is.
You know nothing, Jon Snow. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah. Again, it's not right after Kat's thinking about Jon, but when I hear you know nothing, I'm expecting Jon Snow to come next, right?
I'm surprised I actually didn't. That's a Glow would have found that. Thanks for that,
she yells,
Glow.
you know nothing, and then walks out of the room. It's like Glow, like how she ends the conversation. So just makes me think of Jon, and it makes me wonder, like the you know nothing, is that almost like to the reader? Like you don't know shit about Jon? It just makes me think. I
think so. I do think so.
I thought about that. I didn't even think about that till we were recording because me and you even like talked a little bit about the Jon stuff, like the Ashara Dane.
Yeah.
And we've asked Kyle before, and when we said Kyle, who's Jon's mom, he said, who does Ned tell Robert? Wyla. Kyle said Wyla.
Yeah.
And here Kat is saying for the second time, it's actually like a really
the only person he's heard of is Ashara.
A lady with a last fucking name. Like Wyla doesn't even have a last name. And Kyle, and like we just move on, and Kyle doesn't be like, hold on, wait, who is Jon's mom? So it just makes me wonder, like the whole like you know nothing, Jon Snow, is that like a hint to like the reader, like you don't know anything about Jon Snow, think about Jon Snow? You know what I mean?
I think so. I think to the point of like
who is this guy's parents?
If you're reading this on your own, like, are you picking up that like Kat's bringing up Ashara for the second time, and did Ned tell the truth with Wyla, and like that's just your truth because Ned said it, or is Ned like trying to like send a red herring?
I mean, if there's any characters who you can almost take their word as gospel, you would think it's Ned, right?
You're right. So to Kyle's defense, like Ned being an honorable guy, and he's talking to his friend who you don't even really think you'd have to keep a secret from. This guy's obviously got a bunch of bastards, and
So hold on. Oh shit! You might have just found the best. I'm gonna have trouble with this one. So, what's the popular theory of who Jon's mom is?
What's her name? Lyanna.
And what's the promise that she makes Ned give her?
Keep him safe.
Why? From who?
Because he's half Targaryen from Rob.
From Robert. So what were you just saying? You're saying why would you not tell your best friend who has a bunch of bastards of his own? If the mom's a Ashara Dane, why not tell him?
Right, because it's not Ashara Dane, because it's Lyanna.
So again, I'm the Ashara guy, which is why I don't like this. But to what you were saying is, why wouldn't you tell your best friend who has a bunch of bastards of his own that you have a bastard? Like the truth about your own bastard is because you're afraid your best friend is going to hurt that boy if he knows the truth.
Right.
So
Jon's Lyanna's daughter.
Glow's gonna be mad he missed this episode.
Jon is Lyanna's son.
That is actually like one of the bigger things that I don't know why Ned wouldn't tell Robert the truth if it wasn't Lyanna. That is actually really tough. Because like why wouldn't you tell your best friend?
Or Kat. Like it's actually, hey Kat, it's not, why not tell Kat if you trust Kat hey, this is Lyanna's son, not mine, but we're gonna take care of it like it's my bastard. Like,
There's
no.
a hold on, let me go find the quote because there's a weird thing about the first time she mentions Ashara too, because she like mentions something, and what Ned
flips.
responds to is different. It's slightly different than what she asked, right? I think, is it in the first cat chapter or the second one?
It's I think after they diddled. I think Lewin's gonna bring the letter from Lysa.
My notes say, these are notes, so this is paraphrasing. Cat doesn't like that Ned let Jon live with them. Ned would never talk of the mother, but Cat heard whispers that it was Lady Ashara Dane. She was the brother to the deadliest knight in the Seven Kingdoms, Sir Arthur Dane. She asked him about her once. That was the only time in all, this is a quote, that was the only time in all their years that Ned had ever frightened her. Never asked me about Jon, he said, cold as ice. So the quote says she asked about Ashara Dane,
and he just says, don't ask about Jon. Right.
So again, that's there's my evidence. I don't know if that's enough evidence to
I think that's evidence that
I
think that's evidence that it's not Ashara.
Why?
Because he doesn't bring up Ashara. He doesn't say, he says I don't want to talk about Jon. Not, I don't want to talk about her being Jon's mother. I don't want to talk about Jon in general because I don't want you prodding.
I get that, but if like say Jon's not even there and they're just like laying in bed one time and she's like, did you love Ashara Dane?
That's awful. That's awful bed talk.
I get that, but like you like a girl just asked you about your ex. Did you like, how did you feel about Ashara Dane? And if your answer is don't ask me about Jon, that very heavily correlates those two people, especially if we don't know. We don't know the context of how she acted.
We don't know her question.
We don't know
she
the
could have been
context
like,
of it.
She could have just came out and said, "Is Ashara Jon's mom?"
Yes, you're right. And if that's true,
and he would have been like,
100%.
"Don't talk to me about Jon."
100%. It's very ambiguous about what she asked him.
If she asked something like, if she would have asked, "Did you love Ashara more than me?" and he says, "Don't talk about Jon."
Here's the thing: George could have told us what her question was, but he left it ambiguous.
Obviously, so that me and you, stupid people like me and you, are having this conversation.
30 years later after the fucking book came out. Sheesh.
I just don't. Why? I'm just trying to figure out where the Danes fucking fit in, and I'm sure that's what everybody's doing at this point.
They're important. Why are they important? It makes sense if they're related to Jon, because Jon's obviously important. That makes everything
Jon or
just super neat.
Dany. I mean,
I've been kind of content with the fact that R+L probably 95% chance equals J because of the books. Like the whole like Dan and Dave got the show because George asked them who's Jon's mom, right? Like it's probably, that's like the one thing that I think I'm just being stubborn as fuck about, because I think it would be cool if it was different at this point, especially because it didn't even matter in the show.
Yeah, I think it would be better to have more Targaryens, because I feel like this whole story gets back to Targaryen civil wars, basically. You know, we're just like. So, you know, you have, even if you throw, like, does Fagon come in with, like, the Dane? Like, is this where, I just don't know. I mean, the Dane stuff fucking is weird. And I
there's a lot
think
of
it's
mystery.
more,
There's a lot of babies that could have been born to a lot of, like, even Dany.
Yeah.
Dany could be.
I'm just trying to think
like,
of.
Dany could be Ashara and Ned's baby. Like, so like, here's the other thing.
Yeah.
If R+L does equal J, we still got the lemon tree problem. Is Dany Ashara and Ned's baby?
It doesn't mean that N+A doesn't equal D.
Again, I'm not. I don't know if I'm behind that, but I'm open to it.
I'm not closing any door.
There's problems with it because there's a lot of like Dany and very heavy Targaryen like symbolism. So it'd be tough if Dany wasn't Targaryen at all. But yeah, somebody's got to be born. Somebody's got to be Ashara Dane's baby. That's a fact. Like in my mind, somebody important. Fagon, I don't know if it makes sense for it to be Fagon, but somebody's got to be Ashara Dane's baby.
It's Littlefinger.
I don't think it's Littlefinger. He's still too old. But
yeah, the timeline doesn't matter.
So
but
before we get off this one, the last, and we kind of already talked about it a little bit, was the last quote, right? Is Ned was gone now. Ned was gone now, and his loves and his secrets had all died with him.
Mm-hmm.
Loves.
So
secrets,
his loves, who?
I mean, Lyanna fits there. Lyanna fits with loves. He was his sister. You love your sister, but
yeah,
you're right.
Benjen dead.
When Kat says loves, she's thinking about Jon's mother, whoever Jon's mystery mother is. All his past loves died. Like, I'll never know who they are. Basically, is what she's saying.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. She doesn't include herself in that.
What do you mean? His love's died. Like she's basically thinking like I want to know
just his personal love.
She's kind of asking for answers to some of these questions. Like, does the mother of Jon pray for Jon? Does the mother of Jon blah blah blah? Who was the mother of Jon? All Ned's loves and secrets died with her. So when she says loves, it's in related to Jon's mom.
Yeah.
Thinking as mother, but again, it works as sister. So again, I think this could be a hint for R plus L equals J. Which again, like if you're in your first read through, R plus L equals J is a huge bomb being dropped, right? So like when I talk about R plus L equals J being like, oh, that's not cool. If you've never seen the show and you're on your first read through, when let's take a vote right now. When is Kyle gonna guess it? Is Kyle gonna know by the end of the books that R plus L equals J?
I'm trying to even remember when it starts to get like hinted to you.
I mean, right here, right? Like this type of we've talked about things in the past that have hinted it to us.
Yeah, but if somebody didn't come up with like a crazy theory, like if some Reddit poster didn't post like, hold on, R plus L equals J, like how many people just organically are thinking R plus L equals J?
And maybe I'm totally wrong on this. I bet you if we didn't have any access to any internet, but we did this podcast, I bet you we'd figure it out. Reading it like this. You know what I mean?
I guess because we've got enough of the proof. Like I'm just trying, like, if you read it on your own the first time, unless you're super into it and like really thinking and can read it like bang, bang, bang and still retain all the names and info, like, all right, we know Rhaegar, gave his, favor to Lyanna, or like there's just
and George
like,
has said this that like writing books is like it's different now because in the olden days you'd put a spoiler in like R plus L equals J. And like what he said is like 2% of people will see something like that.
Yeah.
And then when the spoiler happens, they're all like, holy shit. And then when they reread it, they're like, oh my God, this is crazy. Wow,
it was in front of our face the whole time.
But now people will just post it on Reddit and people will see it before they read it and it'll be ruined for them ahead of time. And everyone thinks that they saw it ahead of time. Like 100% of people think like, wow, this is a stupid spoiler because I knew it ahead of time. I think what we're doing for Kyle is great, right? Kyle is getting a fresh look at this. He actually doesn't know what's happening. I'm really surprised he thought that, like, again, I don't think this is a great chapter, but like when I was rereading it, I was like, wow, Kyle's going to think this is a really good chapter. He's going to think they're like going to get fucked up. And then at the end, when they won, it's going to be a big surprise.
Yeah. I don't think the tone of that chapter was like that.
I get what you're saying. Kat's pessimistic. So like, obviously everything she says is going to be like, oh, we're going to lose. Everything's going to suck. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was kind of biting on it a little bit.
I need to do, are we done on, what was the last point we were going to talk about?
The last one was Jon. I have one more small one. And
I need to do a minute on Cat.
Go ahead.
It's Cat's fault. This whole thing is, we just proved in our conversations, I'm sorry I forgot it. Like Edmure, like if they let him pass to the west, like they have a shot at fighting. Fine. Edmure wins at the ford. They go south. They still have a shot at fighting. Cat gives away their biggest leverage piece. Like, I'm putting a lot of blame on Cat for giving up Jaime as much. It's still Rob's fault. Don't get me wrong. It's Rob's fault for marrying the Westerling. But Cat ruins a lot of it too.
So I was thinking about this because I've agreed with you. Like, basically every chapter before this, every Cat chapter in spoiler sections, when we've talked about Cat, I feel like it always comes around to me trying to defend Cat a little bit and you saying, no, Cat sucks. She ruins everything. And I'm like, you're right. She lets go of Jaime. But in this chapter, I was thinking about it. When she lets go of Jaime, what really changes?
They have no bargaining chip anymore.
So who cares, though? Who cares? Were they ever going to get Sansa? Sansa and Arya both get out anyway. Like, Arya's not there and Sansa's not anyway. Like, what they were going to get out of that deal, they weren't delivered to Catelyn. But like, what they were going to get out of that deal, they got. Again, that doesn't matter. Right?
Yeah,
that's irrelevant, right? Like, the point is they shouldn't have made that deal in the first place, right?
Right.
Even with that, what do the Lannisters gain from getting Jaime? By the time they get him back, he doesn't have a hand.
Sure, but they don't know that. I
agree. But even if Cat lets him go and Jaime's back in King's Landing that day, one man doesn't make a difference. And Jaime's not like a Stannis. He's not a battle commander. He's not a Tywin. He's not a game player.
Hold on,
he's a fighter. You have one fighter.
I'm not even worried about what Jaime does to the Lannister army. I don't think it matters. Like I said, it has a huge effect on what goes on internally in the Northern Army, and they basically turn on him. Everybody leaves, and then they get betrayed. So that's the bigger thing, and that's why it's Kat's fault. Like, even if
is that Kat's fault or is that the Karstark's fault for overreacting on what Kat did?
It's Frey's fault. It's Frey's fault. It's
again,
Kat's
I'll
fault.
argue. I'm sure I'm going to argue this when it comes up and Kat releases Jaime, but I get what you're saying.
She should have never done it.
Like 100%, she should never have done it. I agree with you. The reason she should never have done it is not because of what Jaime can. How can Jaime impact the war? The reason she should never have done it is because of what the internal northern uproar is going to be. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe Kat was thinking it's just one man. He's not going to do anything. But she was not thinking about the internal uproar. Also, the Karstarks killing the fucking Lannister squires has something to do with it too. It's not.
Yeah, but it's all because of
Kat. Yeah.
That. And I don't want to I just don't vibe well with Kat. Like, I just don't like her. I don't think I'd like her as she was a real person. She also is a big blame of the whole storyline is a lot of her.
What do you mean?
She gets a lot of this shit in motion.
She sends Ned south. All that stuff.
Yeah. Littlefinger basically uses her as the queen of the chessboard, and she is putting a lot of this stuff in motion. Sending Ned south, capturing Tyrion, taking him to the Vale.
You're right, Littlefinger.
It's all her. It's all her.
And it makes you wonder, like, Littlefinger has history with her. Did he know, like, oh, I can send this letter, and if Kat gets eyes on this letter, there's no way Ned's not coming south. And type of thing, like, we're like, oh, if I tell Kat Tyrion did it, I mean, there's no way he could predict that she runs into Tyrion on the road. But
no,
like, if I tell her Tyrion did it, then Tyrion's on their hit list from go.
That was just a bonus. The point was to get the Lannisters on her enemy list.
We don't know who sent the dagger. If Littlefinger did have anything to do with it, I think I'm still up in the air about the dagger. I think Joffrey.
I'm not even worried about the dagger. I'm not even worried about the dagger.
While we're on it, I want to say, like, I think Joffrey makes little sense. Littlefinger is a potential person. I think it's a little more complicated at how he would logistically get it done. But if he did do it, I think one evidence that he did do it is, say you sent an assassin to kill Kat's son, and then a month later, Kat shows up at your doorstep saying, "Hey, I have a dagger. Somebody sent this to kill my son, and it's your dagger." If you blame it on Cersei or Jaime, who were the most likely suspects, well, they're in the city. Kat will just tell Ned, or they'll go to them, and it'll be settled then. If Littlefinger just wants you to be like, hold on, I needed Ned here because I have this plan. You got to get the fuck out of here. You're just gonna blame it on the person who was in Winterfell and not in the city right now, and that's that's Tyrion. So the reason I think Littlefinger is a pretty high up on the suspect list for the dagger is A, it was his dagger, but B, the excuse he gives to Kat is a very save my own ass excuse, because it's like the one person who was in Winterfell at the time,
who wasn't there, right?
Who's not here now. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
no, I just and I'm sorry, fans. Like, I know I just don't like her, and I do blame her for a lot of what happens.
You're allowed to not like characters. It's all good. Last thing I had, small thing. And we were wondering, like, when Kat says, like, "Oh, sing to me," we were thinking it was a little weird.
Super weird.
Is there another character who tells somebody to sing to him? The Hound tells Sansa to sing to her at the end of the Blackwater. And again, it's reverse, but I think there's a lot of Hound Brienne parallels. Yeah. And then you have Kat Sansa, mom daughter.
Yeah, I get that. I didn't remember that.
Around this passage, right around the time that Kat tells Brienne's like, "Oh, there was always singers at Evenfall Hall. I knew all the songs. I remember them." She's like, "Oh, and Sansa used to do the same thing. Like, Sansa, it was just like my daughter. Sing to me." And then later, Sansa says, "Sing to me" to Lily, or the Hound says, "Sing to me" to Sansa. Again, it's backwards. Kat saying it instead of Sansa doesn't tell the Hound to sing to her.
I get the parallel. I don't know much about it.
The other thing is, we don't really know if Brienne is actually a good singer or not. She says that, like, Renly's fool used to make fun of her, but we don't know if it was for her voice or because she got made fun of just because she's Brienne, for everything, right? So we don't know, and maybe she will sing to Kat in some weird, like, I mean, the last time we saw Brienne, she was about to be hung by Kat. She's like, Brienne says a word, and that's the end of the chapter. Assuming that the word is sword, because Kat says, take the sword and go kill Jaime, or take the noose and you're gonna die. And basically Brienne's like, I'm not gonna kill Jaime because he did everything he said he was gonna do. He held up his part of the bargain. It's wrong to kill Jaime. I'm not gonna do it. But she's conflicted because Kat's gonna kill Podrick as well. It's not just Brienne. It's Brienne and Podrick. She's like, I'm not going to let Podrick die. Basically, Brienne, in her head, I don't think you get all this, but you assume that Brienne's like, I would take this if it was just me, but I'm not going to let Podrick do that. And at the end of the chapter, it's like, Brienne says a word, and you assume she says the sword because in the next Jaime chapter, Jaime gets word that, oh, Brienne's like in the woods and wants to talk to you, but you have to come alone type thing. Like she gets like a weird message, right? So who knows? Brienne and Catelyn are gonna meet again big time in Winds of Winter. Yeah. So there's a chance for Brienne to sing to Cat in some weird way, maybe.
Sing me a song.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that if Cat ends up killing Brienne or something, and in that moment Brienne's like her scream sounded like a song, or like, you know what I mean, the way George does. So
yeah.
But yeah, that's all I got. Long spoiler section for No Glow, and not too many spoilers actually in this chapter, but there's a lot of stuff that stems from this chapter.
Just big deals, big possible spoilers.
All right, well, no lingering. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bran 6.
I don't know the family words, so you're gonna have to do that.
For what? The Starks? Winter is coming?
Starks. Or no, I guess I was thinking Tully, but
family, duty, honor.
Duty.
He said duty.